Good evening, wrestling fans, and welcome to the Wrestle Talk Podcast. For the next 2 hours, we will bring you the latest pro wrestling news, in-depth analysis of all your favorite promotions from across the globe, and much, much more. We will with the greatest professional wrestling personalities on the local, national, and international levels. If you want to follow the Wrestle Talk Podcast, check us out online at www.wrestletalkpodcast.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. And now, it's time for the reigning, defending, undisputed leader in pro wrestling podcasts, the Wrestle Talk Podcast.
Que pasa, que pasa, que pasa, loyal members of the Wrestle Talk family. It is your boy, The Night Owl, checking in here first for episode 395 of the Wrestle Talk Podcast. Joining me tonight on the ones and twos, the DJ, the MC of this whole thing, our audio engineer, the prestigious Hardcore Hoss. What up, Hoss?
What's going on, Night Owl? Good to be here. Good to see you tonight.
Bro, I am feeling good and looking even better if I do say so myself. Only 5 episodes away for episode 400. And to be honest with you, I think that deserves a round of applause. So let me say just one more time. Ladies and gentlemen, only 5 stinking episodes away from episode 400. Hold on, let me hit the SAP button. That means episode 400 of the Wrestle Talk Podcast. Can we get a round of applause for that? You see Skywalker, you see Dick Douglas, you see Sonny Mayo, you see Chris Rodell, you see Jeremy Carb, you see Nightmare Jones. That's how you give the audio engineer a lead-in to a drop. You got to love me for that, right, Hoss? You got to love me for that.
That's right.
You're like, hold on a second. You're like, oh, hit that drop, Hoss. And Hoss is like, let me find it. Hold on. Like, buy me some time, damn it. Bro, before we get on and rocking and rolling and bring the illustrious, the prestigious, the man that's the proprietor of the city on the hill, because I am co-hosting with the one and only Dick Douglas here tonight, let me ask you a question, man. How are you? How is the family? And how excited are you for tonight's episode?
Oh, man, I'm looking forward to tonight's episode, and looking forward to finding out more about the guys that are coming on. And I know that there's a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. And I'm going to fill you in at some point on the thing that Joey and I went to, the Baltimore Celeb Fest. We had a heck of a time at that. So coming off of a good time there. And so just looking for a good all around great episode.
Dude, and I'm looking forward to it as well. I can't wait till we talk about Celeb Fest, bro. Already an announcement for Celeb Fest 5. We'll go down the card and talk about everybody that was there and some of the interactions that you guys had, okay? But before we go much further, we have to pay homage. We have to pay respects. And I know Dick Douglas, fashionably late as always. Let's go ahead and handle some business. You can put me on single screen and go ahead and give me that ticker, baby, because we got to put over the illustrious sponsors of the Wrestle Talk family. Starting with, let's go ahead and get that ticker going. Starting with Everything Combat featuring Pat Milicic and Jay Hollywood, Kincaid Arcade, Esports Bar KC, Interstate 70 Sports Media, Royal Mills Transportation, Painter's Dream Production, Rathbun Engraving, Mi Fiesta KC Party Rentals, Norbleman's Barber Lounge in Kansas City, Missouri. Do not forget to ask for Pete the Barber. And, of course, the world's premier fantasy wrestling promotion, the Fantasy Wrestling Worldwide Chapter. And you'll be happy to hear this, Hoss. During the break today, we're not going to be hitting music. We're not going to give you guys a snippet of a match. No, we've actually got the CEO himself coming in and breaking down for about 5 minutes or so the full FWWC card for this upcoming Friday. So there's absolutely no excuse for you guys to miss even 1 second of tonight's episode. And let me just say this. I had every excuse in the world. You know why? Because work is driving me freaking crazy. Just wait for shoot and shout. But also, my Miami Heat are starting the Eastern Conference Finals tonight against those hated, nasty, mean Boston Celtics. But you know what? Even that, Hoss, is not important enough for your boy, the Night Owl, to miss 375 of the Wrestle Talk podcast. This is the kind of guy I am. You get what I'm saying? You capiche? Do you understand me?
Hey, you told me once before, that you are Hispanic. You don't want to miss your work for nothing.
Nah, dude, no days off, baby. Way before that one dude. What was his name? He was Titus's partner. Come on, help me out. Comment section. Who's my man? Who's my man? Came out like 4 years ago being gay. Super duper talented guy. Think he even worked Impact. What is his name? Mr. No Days Off. You know what? It's fine. Dick Douglas will know. Dick Douglas will know. So before we get into the national anthem and all that kind of stuff, ladies and gentlemen, joining me for episode 395 as my co-host this evening, the one, the only, the proprietor of the City on the Hill, a man of a movement that is to restore professional wrestling to its previous prestige, the one and only Richard Dick Douglas. What? What is the meaning of this? Skywalker, what are you doing here? Where's Dick Douglas?
It's episode 395, Renee, and it's a special episode. It's an international episode of the Wrestle Talk podcast. And you know something? Richard Douglas is known for stirring things up here on the Wrestle Talk podcast.
No.
But
He's known for not showing up to the Wrestle Talk podcast. That is what he is known for. Okay? Let's speak facts here, but I'm sorry for interrupting. Please continue.
Well, you know something, though? He always stirs up trouble wherever he goes. He talks about his movement. Well, tonight, I thought it'd be only fitting that since he's, again, fashionably late as always, why not have a true broadcast journalist sitting alongside my good friend, the Night Owl, here tonight on episode 395. And if you look at the title, Oh, Canada, that's right, not just one, but two Canadian guests here on the program here tonight. It's going to be a great show.
Okay, well, it is going to be a great show, but apparently I look like a Smurf today. So, okay, I will take that. Our boy, the albino rhino, watching this is 40, and you guys all look 50 plus. Thank you very much. I wear sunglasses inside. Yes, but you don't make it look as good as I do. Sunny, 395 all day, baby. Sorry, let me run through these comments. Yes, the Dick Riders want Dick. Yeah, you guys can go ahead and start that chant at your local wrestling show. See how long you're allowed to stay in the building. Blues start round 2, Stanley Cup playoffs. How about that? We'll talk a little hockey here during the shoot and shout segment. Don't you worry about that. Darian Young. That's right, Zach, my guy. You know what? I got something for you, Zach. I've been trying to give this away for the last couple of weeks, and I was looking for an excuse. So, Zach, shoot me a DM, brother, and I've got a special gift for you. Plus, I was at CSW this weekend, and I thought you did an outstanding job. But anyway, this is yours, my friend. Congratulations, courtesy of the FWWC Wrestle Talk podcast and our sponsor, Oni, who provided this to the show for us to give away for you guys. Okay? So, congratulations. Hardcore Hoss, make a note of that because we officially have somebody that has been awarded this illustrious NWO lunchbox. Congratulations to you, Zach. Congratulations to you. Oh, look at that. Skywalker. Looks like we got a special visitor in the house tonight, man. You want to give the man a shout out?
I'll give Herb Simmons a shout out. Like I say, he's joining the program here tonight. Had an opportunity to see Herb a couple weeks ago at the Midwest Independent Wrestling Hall of Fame. It's always good to see Herb Simmons checking us out here tonight on the Wrestle Talk podcast. I can tell that you're ready to go, Renee.
Really?
You got everything set up and ready to rock and roll there. And you know something else too, Renee? I'm looking there. It's a reminder, one of those great Wrestle Talk podcast mugs, guaranteed. And I have to ask you because we've had some wonderful marketing analysis, I guess would be the best word to put it. Let's go ahead and do right now. Taste it and tell me how much colder that drink is right now.
I guesstimate by saying that I believe it is 17.6% colder and tastier out of a Wrestle Talk podcast mug. And listen, I know I teased it a little bit the last time that I was on, but come episode 400, not only are we unveiling the new logo, we might even be unveiling some new merch. So make sure you guys put it on your calendar, because episode 400 is going to be out of effing control. You dig what I'm saying? Five more, baby.
We're
five time. That's right, baby.
Five time.
Well, anyway, let me get my my tool ready here, because we've gone through the sponsorship. We've said que pasa to all our friends and family, and you guys know what time it is, baby. This would not be a Wrestle Talk podcast episode unless we took a moment to respectfully remove our caps, for those of us wearing one, and pay homage to the greatest country on God's green earth. And that's America, damn it. Hoss, hit that music.
You know something, guys? Somewhere Joe Lance is sitting back. He's got about 3 or 4 tears in his eye. Again, a great opportunity. But you know something, guys? I feel remiss. Tonight is a very special night. We have Vance Nevada. We have G.A. Again, trying to make sure that my French is correct. But you know something, Renee? We pay homage to the greatest country in the world. I think, out of respect for our guests tonight, that it would only be fitting, considering both of our guests are from our neighbors to the north, if it would be so kind, and Hardcore Hoss, I think you've got it ready, to pay our respects to our neighbors to the north in honor of our guests tonight, and out of respect, because we can talk about it in basketball, talk about it in hockey, baseball, you name it. Out of respect to our guests tonight, let's go ahead and show our respect for our neighbors to the north of Canada.
Let's do it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, again, showing our respect to our neighbors to the north, Canada. And I can tell you right now, guys, when you talk about professional wrestling, you talk about professional wrestling here in the United States, but there's been a lot of great wrestling in the world of Canada. When you're talking about Toronto, you talk about Calgary, you talk about Winnipeg, I talk about Edmonton. There's a lot of great old school wrestling territories and a lot of great promotions today that call Canada home. And tonight we're going to have 2 guests from both sides of Canada that are going to be here on the program tonight. I got to ask you guys, this week, in about the last 48 hours, the wrestling world has gone upside down about 7 times. And we've all had a chance to talk about it off air, but tonight we need to bring it up here. And Hardcore Hoss, I know you're ready because we have a lot of great things to talk about. And again, make sure you keep putting those comments in the comment section. We're going to have a lot of great questions here tonight on the Wrestle Talk podcast high spot segment. So go ahead, Hardcore Hoss, if you would be so kind for that intro for the high spot segment.
Mic check. Yeah.
right. Wrestle Talk Podcast. DJ Money. Yeah. Let's go. Welcome to High Spots, where we pop news like lamb chops. We dog shop, coming through the screens of a laptop and non-stop like a runner speakers of blacktop. We hit hard like chair shots and back drops. On the clock flash, feel like the belly flop that ass hard. We up to speed while they stay slow. Wrestle Talk Podcast, now they know we about to start the show.
You good, Night Owl?
Dude, I'm always riding. I love DJ Money, man. That's my jam. I be playing that in the car all the time, bro. I'm not even gonna lie.
Like it's in right now. You look like you're just ready to rock and roll. I mean, you got the shades going. You got the Wrestle Talk Podcast mug. It's High Spots time here. You know what? It's been a little bit, Night Owl. So I'm gonna go ahead. Again, it is Night Owl being in the host seat here tonight. Let's go ahead and start off with you. I know there's a lot of great things in the world of pro wrestling that are on your mind. And I want to hear Hardcore Hoss freestyle rap over the High Spots beat.
Yeah,
Could that be arranged?
I don't know. I think Hoss is a little bit of a renaissance man. If we gave him a week, I bet you he can go at least like 30 seconds.
Hey, episode 400. We can make it happen.
What? We'll have him rapping and we'll have Joey singing. It'll be extraordinary.
That is true. That is true.
The ratings are gonna go through the damn roof, I tell you. All right. Well, listen, I know we've got a lot of different stuff to touch on. And for our friends spectating out there, in case you guys have never had the opportunity to do live radio, if we repeat ourselves, it's not because we're parents, it's because we're trying to buy each other some time. So if we say we're going to respect Canada 14 times, Pinky, deal with it. Okay? Skywalker's a highly educated, extremely successful individual. Okay? He's a leader of men, women, and children. So if he repeats himself, it's not because he's dyslexic. Okay? It's because he's trying to buy us some time, damn it. It's live radio, you assholes. Can I get some Iron Sheik right now? I need some Iron Sheik right now in my life. I feel like I need some Iron Sheik right now. Yeah, there we go. There's that Don't talk shit on Skywalker. That's my homie. All right.
And you know something,
leave his ass alone, bro.
I gotta give you a thank you on that too, because I'm not gonna fib. We got a great show tonight, but I'm also kind of thinking a little bit ahead. We had a great dinner tonight. I got some great barbecue pork steaks. I'm 2 days from my birthday.
Oh, damn, 25, bro. We all been waiting. That's a big birthday. That's a big one.
It's one of those big birthdays. And like I said, a lot of people are going to give me grief, but you know what? Don't give me grief, because tonight it's High Spots right here on the Wrestle Talk Podcast. And it's going to be a great show. I didn't repeat myself there.
No, you didn't. And you know what's awesome? We don't even have to defend each other, because the members of the Wrestle Talk Podcast family are going to defend us. And I will quote my sister right here, and John's sister, Pinky, shush. Oh, shut up, man. Sonny. You and the Dick Riders need to keep your damn mouth shut. Don't nobody. Hey, speaking of which, where the hell is Dick Douglas? Nobody gave me an explanation just yet as to where this man is. First, he's dating starlets. Then he's over there. He's like the only person at Joe Biden's presidential address. It was like him and like 2 other people. Yet he can't manage to be here. Look, dude, I'm getting tired of this guy. We're going to have to look at the fine print of his contract. He needs to be here more often. It's like he's missing the show about 50% of the time. And I know you're not going to hold him accountable, Skywalker, because you got a soft spot for him. Hoss, I know you're obsessed with the damn guy. You're the leader of his damn fan club. So I'm the only one that's subjective around here. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
He is a busy man on the campaign trail. Come on now.
Dude, he's scheduled to be on the show. What better place to get exposure for your movement than right here on the WTP? Somebody tell me. I'm waiting. Anybody?
Well,
no, I didn't think so.
You have a point. This is a good place for his movement. And, that's why he has people such as myself that advocate for him when he can't be here.
Okay, that's great. I hope he pays you well. Okay? Anyway, we got High Spots to get into. You guys heard the music. We're 10 minutes away from our featured guest. Why don't we go ahead and get into the first High Spots segment? What do you guys say?
That works for me.
All right, the first High Spots question. I'm so sorry about that. But before we do, can we drop the question of the night? So we will extend high spots throughout the remainder of the show for you guys to comment on. And here is tonight's fan question of the night. Skywalker, reading isn't my strong suit. We all know that. So why don't you go ahead and read that off for us?
Tonight's fan question of the night is, who should Ric Flair face in his final matchup?
Oh, damn, bro. Are you harnessing like your inner Chris Rodell there? That was like the ring announcer voice. That was kind of clean right there, my guy. I like that.
Hey, I got to look at it this way. Man, it's one of those where this is a big question here. And again, this is one of those where I've seen a lot of people talking about it. And again, we're going to talk about this all night long, but there's been at least one individual. And I know there's been a lot of people talking about it, but there's one individual I've had the opportunity to read on countless occasions, that being former WCW announcer Chris Cruz. And as everybody knows, Ric Flair has made the agreement that in July, he will be once again returning to the ring. And a lot of people have been making the comment of, does Ric Flair, or should Ric Flair be allowed to return to the ring? This is a very highly debated topic. And I'm going to go ahead and start right here. I mean, to me, I've been a professional wrestler. I've been around professional wrestling for 35 years. I know what's up in the world of pro wrestling. Once it gets in your blood, it doesn't go away. But I got to tell you right now, I would be very concerned about Ric Flair being in the ring. Not because of the fact that he's not the 60-minute man. He's not the one that can go all night long. He's not Mr. Space Mountain.
That's not what the ladies say. That's not what the ladies say. I seen the look on Hoss's face. He's like, there's a joke there. There's a joke there.
I set up the joke. You go ahead and hit the home run.
Well done.
But here's the idea. And I just look at it this way. One of the individuals has said that Ric Flair has a pacemaker put in. He's got a lot of health issues that have been addressed. And it really concerns me with all of the health issues he has. Would it be safe for him to get in the ring? To me, I don't know if I would be willing to test it. He's had a phenomenal career, the greatest of all time. But I don't know. I mean, he's gone in the ring. He's been training. I've seen video footage of him working out with Jay Lethal. All these things are there, but I don't know if I can justify this one.
Well, I want to give Hardcore Hoss an opportunity to jump on this one first. And by the way, this is the fan question of the night. So throughout the night, we're going to continue to post this picture. I mean, this question. And if you guys have a strong and firm answer, I actually have another prize in my back pocket. So the lunchbox that Zach won a little bit earlier, it's not the only thing we have available. If you guys got a strong take on this, go ahead and drop it in the comment section or let us know you want to jump on and join, and we'll give you the opportunity to do that. Number two, I'm going to throw this back up real quick, Hoss. Shout out to our boys at I-70 Hot Tag. Had an opportunity to meet these guys at Central States this past weekend. By the way, shout out to Simon, shout out to Trinity, shout out to Strider, shout out to all the incredible talent, the fans, the security, Dan at the ticket taking table, everybody for making this past weekend show one of my favorite wrestling shows of all time. And I've been to a lot of wrestling shows, damn it. But damn, Central States, not only because of the name and the lineage, but the action that they put on. Led a strap match, Derek Neal, Moonshine Mantell, Mike Outlaw versus Jeremy Wyatt, and so on and so forth. But shout out to the I-70 Hot Tag guys for being in the house and repping hardcore, baby. Go ahead. Speaking of hardcore, Hoss, I'm going to let you jump on this one first, baby. What do you think?
Well, I would think that somewhere along the line, his doctors and stuff have weighed in on it. And, you know, if there's no real serious life concern from them to the point to make them say, this cannot happen, then I don't see any reason, you know, to say, no, absolutely not. If he's willing to get back in the ring, he wants to do it. And it's not jeopardizing his actual life, then, you know, let let the man do it. Now, if it actually jeopardizes his life, then I would say no, he shouldn't be back in there. But you know, I'm sure that if it was that far, he would say no, he didn't want to do it.
Well, I think that's a great assessment. And I will say this. When I saw the phrasing of this question, I was offended. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think wondering whether or not it makes sense for him to be in the ring is an unfair question. I do believe that asking if Ric Flair should be allowed to be in the ring is offensive. You know why? Because of these three colors, Jack. You see him right here? You don't tell a man whether or not he's allowed to be in the ring unless he's been deemed unsafe. Okay? Regardless of what his doctors say, regardless of what the fans say, as long as the people hiring him and paying him to do this job deem him to be safe inside the squared circle, only God himself should be able to stop Ric Flair from getting back in the squared circle. And by the way, I got a good friend of mine representing Kansas City via South Philadelphia, born and raised on my playgrounds, right? He's just born on the... Anyway, not him, not that guy, not the guy that slaps people, the other guy, Sonny Money Mayo. He's gonna have something to say about this. But I just say that whoever phrased this question should have their citizenship stripped away, and they should be sent to live in Canada for a couple of days, or Mexico, or somewhere else. Because you don't tell a man when it's time for him to hang it up. A man should be able to make that decision on his own for the only reason is that we're in America, Jack. And in this country, you work until you want to work. You don't work when you don't want to work. Trust me, there's a lot of people that do that. Point being, no one should have the right to tell a legend like Ric Flair whether he should or should not be allowed, quote unquote, to return to the ring. That the question itself is offensive. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, coming on to the show, Sonny Money Mayo and Sonny Money Mayo 2.0. Let's see what we got going on here.
Oh,
yo!
Say what's up.
Who is that handsome devil?
Talk? Say what's up, Wrestle Talk.
What's
Tuesday
up?
night, baby.
Yo, what's up, man?
What's up, Night Owl?
Yo, your
what's
boy
up,
looks just like
Hardcore Hoss? What's up, Uncle Luke? Fly Walker, happy early birthday, my friend.
Thank you.
Listen, fellas, I'm not going to be here for long, but I did have to jump on here, on video, on StreamYard with you guys to answer this. I couldn't just get my point across in the comment section. I'll be back in the comment section once I jump off of here. I want to get to this question with Ric Flair, but before we do, I want everybody to know, as the personal consultant of Mr. Dick Douglas, he sends his regards. He will be here as soon as possible. But Dick Douglas, as you guys can see, it's not like him at all to be running late. In fact, he's a guy who prides himself being on time, but he's not here at the moment. So thank God we have Uncle Luke Flywalk over there. We got the Night Out and Hardcore Hoss holding it down for the ones and twos. So Dick Douglas sends his regards. Now, with the
don't butter us up. Don't butter us up. That man refused to show up here again tonight. He's missing about 50% of his appearances on the Wrestle Talk podcast. Don't try to butter me up, okay? Unless you got tacos or something. Otherwise, I don't want to hear it.
Listen, Night Out, we could sit here for the whole next hour and 45 minutes and talk about all the great things that Dick Douglas does, not only for the St. Louis community, not only for the Midwest community, but for America in general. I see this man as president one day, and I hope you vote for him, Renee. I really mean that.
You have a take, sir. I mean, seriously.
Yes, I do. Let me get that take. Okay. The Nature Boy. Woo! The Nature Boy. Let that man in the ring. Just let him in the ring. Listen, no one was saying nothing back in 1997 when Terry Funk was doing a moonsault in ECW in South Philly at 68 years old. No one was saying nothing about Vader when he was over in Japan and with known heart failure and still going in the ring and giving it everything he's got. Pro wrestling has a history of these older guys, and just like Flywalker said before, once that business is in your blood, it's hard to get out, man. It's hard to say, my time is up. I know Ric Flair has a pacemaker. I know he's a recovering alcoholic. I know he's had his issues. But this man has gave more to the business than really anybody I can think of. So if he chooses to have a match in which the rumored match being a 6-man tag, then let him have his shine. Now, here's my concern with it, though. Ric Flair has stated on the record that when he pays that big bar tab, when he goes up to that big wrestling ring in the sky, how he wants to do it is in the ring. So I almost wonder, is this some type of swan song, not only for Ric Flair's wrestling career, but his life? You have to almost ask that question, guys. So with that being said, I thank you guys for my time. Little Money Mayo in here. He's making the signs. Vote for Dick Douglas. He's hard at work. We're going to get back to this campaign. I hope everybody's on the train for Richard Douglas. Excuse me, not Dick, but Richard Douglas. Okay? You guys keep rocking it. I'm here in the comment section. Much love, fellas.
Okay, sorry. I'm unmute myself because I did want him to answer the question. Now that we know he is going to be wrestling, who should he wrestle? And I'm going to throw it to Hoss first. Hoss, come on, baby. We only got a few minutes before our first featured guest of the evening comes on. You got to have a strong take, baby. Who, if this is indeed his last match ever, who should he face?
Well, you know, I'm not really sure who he should face for his last match. I mean, there's a lot of good people out there.
Well, the answer's obvious in my opinion, but I'll just.
I mean, I have seen Stone Cold's name thrown out there. You know, I've seen a lot of names. Maybe he should have an intergender match and it be himself versus Charlotte Flair.
Oh God, that would get ugly. That would get ugly quick. You saw how mean she was to him last time they were on TV together, right? Wasn't he like, didn't he impregnate Lacey Evans and turned her baby? Anyway, that's for a whole nother show. Skywalker, I think you're going to listen. And I'm not saying that there's like a right answer, but to me, there's only one person based on his history that he should be facing in his final match. But that, again, I'll get to that here in just a moment. Skywalker, what do you got?
I think you and I are thinking a little bit alike, Renee. To me, it's another individual who's had that name thrown out there. It's going to be a part of, I believe, StarCast 5. To me, if you're going to do it, if both men get the clearance, Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat, end of discussion.
Ooh, that's actually not the direction your boy the Night Owl's going to go in. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm actually even a little surprised right now. I mean, I tend to consider myself to be the newbie as a wrestling fan compared to these two fine gentlemen. It has very little to do with age. It has to do with kind of cultural things. I stopped being a fan for a long time, blah, blah, blah. But guys, Ric Flair only has one yin to his yang. The oil to his water. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Sting! Who better than to end the career of the legendary Ric Flair than one of the men that was made, in my opinion, partially by working with the legendary Ric Flair, the one and only Sting. Am I off base here? Wrestle Talk family, where are y'all at? I want to see you guys in the comments section. Sting or Ricky Steamboat? I don't know. I don't think you could go wrong either way. But Skywalker, come on, baby. Sting, right? Am I wrong?
I got to look at it this way, though. Again, I could agree with what's there, but you're also going to throw out, and I'm going to throw another name out here, and we're going to have our first guest come on in just a moment. Another one to throw out there. And again, everything considered, why don't you visit another man before Sting, whose career was made by Ric Flair in the eyes of many, and that is Ric Flair versus Barry Windham.
But is Barry, okay, let me be honest here, okay, right? Because we're the Wrestle Talk, we talk here.
Mm-hmm.
Is Barry relevant like that right now? Bro, Ric Flair had a song made about him a year ago, and Sting main evented a pay-per-view like within the last year, maybe? I mean, come on, bro. Come on. Barry, I mean, the NWA fans would love that, but I'm talking about, I don't know. I don't think there's a wrong answer, bro, but if you want to talk about box office, it's got to be Sting Flair or Steamboat Flair, right?
You know something?
I don't know.
I look at it this way, too. And Haas's point here, I think holds some merit. I really do. Because the idea of where you have Rick against Charlotte, the two generations clashing, I mean, again, that's another one. Honestly, that's a great discussion point, and we could have this discussion for hours. This could be episode 400 right here.
No question.
Like I said,
You're right.
Well, you know something, guys? I believe, and again, make it a point to put those comments in the comment section, because this could be a question we're going to be kind of looking at and revisiting all night long.
That's another.
Make sure to check that out.
Yeah.
And Hardcore, I got to ask you, tonight being episode 395 and talking about the professional wrestling world of Canada, is our first guest in the waiting room?
Yes, he is. Our first guest is waiting patiently in the back there, and I believe he is ready to go.
All right. Well, like I said, now I'm going to go ahead and take care of this introduction, because this is a man that I greatly admire, I greatly respect, a man who spent nearly 30 years in the professional wrestling world. He's had an opportunity to compete all across Canada. I know he's competed in the United States as well. He's been very active in the Cauliflower Alley Club. He is the editor of The Ear, which is a part of the Cauliflower Alley Club. It's their newsletter publication. And it's indeed our honor and privilege. And Renee, I'm going to throw this out here because I know you wanted to say it, but you didn't get a chance to. This is his actual moniker. I want to make sure I get the full name here. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Beefy Goodness, Vance Nevada. Vance, welcome to the Wrestle Talk podcast here this evening with the Night Owl Hardcore Hoss and Luke Roberts right here on the program. All right. Well, once again, Vance, thank you for joining us on the program. I got to tell you right now, I'm just looking over your shoulder and seeing all of that great hardware that you carry around to events. I got to say, that just makes me feel so great to see a man like yourself holding so much championship gold and being able to share that here tonight on the program. How are you doing, Vance?
You know what, gentlemen? I couldn't imagine things any better.
Well, I got to tell you right now, it's definitely an honor and a privilege to have you here on the program. It's a return appearance for you here on the program. I want to go ahead and before we jump into, we got a lot of things to talk about with yourself and several other topics here. But I want to ask you, I know you've been seeing things on the internet as well. I want to ask your opinion, and it's kind of our question of the night. Many people have been talking about Ric Flair coming out of retirement to wrestle one more match. The question I have to ask to you before we get started, if you had the opportunity to say it, who should be that final opponent?
You know what? I'm gonna go a different direction, and I don't have a Star-Spangled Banner to wave here emphatically, but I'll go with some advice that I got several years ago from Ted DiBiase, and what he said was, nobody remembers how strong you started; they remember how strong you finish. And so I think that that's definitely something to consider. You know, if Ric Flair wrestles in 2022, will it be the Ric Flair that we remember, and will it be the lasting memory that we want?
I could agree with you there. I mean, again, it's one of those, we've seen so many great matches over the course of his career. And the question is now, he's not a young guy anymore. I mean, do we see the Ric Flair wrestling the likes of the Harley Races, of the Dusty Rhodes, of the Jack Briscoes, of the Barry Windhams, the Stings? We could go on and on. But it's the idea of what are we going to see when this does truly materialize. Now, I want to go ahead and talk about your early beginnings in the world of professional wrestling. I was looking back here, doing my research. If I'm not mistaken, you started being involved in pro wrestling in '93.
I did, yes.
So we're during that 30-year plateau. There's not a lot of wrestlers that can say they have 30-plus years under their belt. I got to ask you a question, and that is, how did you get your start in the world of professional wrestling? Because there's a difference between, and again, I made my professional debut in '95. I was involved behind the scenes for a number of years. Can you explain to us how you kind of got into professional wrestling all those years ago?
You know, it was kind of a series of fortunate flukes. So I had been a fan of wrestling growing up as a kid. When I was 15 years old, a local promoter brought an independent wrestling show to town. And I was over the moon. You know, we lived about 3 hours out of Winnipeg, which was the closest major city where you'd get the AWA or the WWF at that time when it would come to town. So they're bringing wrestling to our town. I was excited. So I, stayed after school. I was a bus kid, so I didn't go home. I just stayed at the school, and I'm waiting until the matches start. And the promoter came in, and he said, "Hey, would you guys like to help us set up the ring?" Now, little did I know, like, that's music to a promoter's ears. Hey, we got some local guys to do some of the grunt work. But my buddy and I were ecstatic, a couple of 15-year-old kids. And so we helped them set up the ring, and they said, "Hey, we're going to go get a bite to eat. Do you guys want to watch the ring for us?" Well, I thought, like, I had gone to heaven. Like, now I've got this ring here, and we're going to be unsupervised. So my buddy and I, basically, I don't even think they'd left the building yet. Like, they had just closed the doors to the gymnasium, and they had left. And my buddy and I jumped in there and started messing around in the ring. I think the promoter, he forgot his car keys, and he came back in and caught us in the ring. And I thought, oh man, we're going to catch hell now. So we went to jump out of the ring, and calm and cool and collected, he just came to the middle of the ring, climbed in, and said, "So you want to wrestle?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "You think you know how?" I said, "Yeah." I'm thinking, 15 years old, you know everything about everything. I watch it every week on TV. I know how to wrestle. And in about 3 seconds flat, he had me like pretzeled in a hold. And he said, "Is that enough wrestling for today?" And I said, "Yes, sir." But 2 years later, when I wanted to get in, I called that promoter, and he connected me with a trainer. And the gentleman's name was Ernest Rowe, who was this tough old Frenchman who, at the time when he trained me, was 63 years old, and could still give you a chop that would make your eyes water.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very much a school of hard knocks, old school kind of wrestling training. We never got a full education, admittedly. By the time I had my debut, I think I knew 3 moves. Knew nothing of the language or etiquette of wrestling. But after I trained with him for several weeks, he showed up one day and had a wrestling license with my name on it, and I thought that I'd won the lottery. And then proceeded to have the worst 8 minutes of wrestling match in front of a live crowd of all time. Steadily it improved from there.
Well, I got to tell you right now, I mean, again, that's one of the things that I would say I've been around wrestling for better part now 35 years. And being there, being behind the curtain, running sound, running ring jackets, selling merchandise, all those things. One of the things that's going to sound strange to some, but the idea of spending those times very early in your career learning from those wrestlers who know what it takes inside the famed squared circle. The idea of, as I've heard many people say, knowing a wrist lock from a wristwatch. And that's one of the things that I always remember when I had the opportunity to be in the ring with a lot of young wrestlers. And I still get in the ring from time to time when it comes to training and showing wrestlers things that are going on. Being able to show the basics, the chain wrestling, how the body can be, I dare say, contorted to show that, hey, you have to have a respect for whoever you're in the ring with, but you also have to have a respect for professional wrestling as well. And again, that makes me feel very happy. Night Owl, I know you got a lot that you want to ask and share with Vance, so I'm going to go ahead and throw things over to you.
Well, thank you very much. And let me start off by saying that, Vance, I am one of the very few fortunate people that I know that has actually had a chance to go to Canada. And let me just say that had it not been for the pandemic, I would have already gone back. My first taste of Canada was Vancouver.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm sure you've been all over the country.
Yeah.
But as you know, there's the north side and the south side of the Vancouver Bay. Well, I was there for work. I got to stay on the north side overlooking the bay, looking south. And
Nice.
I took that ferry over, had a great time. Some things I can't really talk about here on the podcast, but an absolute fantastic time. And I hope someday to be able to go back to Canada. But on that note, before I ask my first question, we did have Sonny Money, who's somebody that's a part of the show, just an incredible dude. He had a question, and I wanted to give him the opportunity to jump in with it first. I don't know if you can read that, Vance. If you can't, it's okay, because it reads, since being from Canada, what are Vance's thoughts on the Montreal screw job? So let's start with something a little bit more mainstream, and then we'll go into some of the more personal questions, if you don't mind. What are your thoughts on it, man? Pro wrestling lore, a lot of different takes on it. What's yours?
Yeah, I think I'm of two minds. As a guy that grew up watching Bret Hart as a fan before I became a wrestler, definitely I was disappointed and upset by what I saw. But as somebody in the wrestling business, there are certain, etiquette pieces that we understand. If you're leaving a company, you need to do the honors on your way out. That's the way it goes. So regardless of what was discussed or negotiated, one had to expect that this would be required, especially in the middle of a war between two major companies. Certainly he wouldn't have expected that outcome, knowing that in terms of if it comes down to a shoot between two guys in the ring, probably he felt pretty comfortable with where he would land with Shawn Michaels. But at the end of the day, the promoter still got to do business.
Absolutely. And I can only ask you this question because you are a guy who's been in the ring countless times with a lot of recognition, a lot of respect. Have you ever found yourself in a position where you're working for someone, and we don't have to name names, of course, we want to keep it respectful, but you ever found yourself in a position where maybe you were holding a title and you thought that they were making the wrong move by taking it off of you too soon, or maybe they rushed you into a title a little bit too soon? Just curious.
Yeah, definitely. I would say both of those scenarios. There definitely is times when you're thinking ahead to where is the money in all of this, and that's something that I always impress upon the guys that are coming into the industry now, whether it's cutting promos or doing matches. I'm always asking them, where's the money? So you just cut this promo and you got all these like kitschy lines in there, but what is going to make somebody buy a ticket off of that like cutesy little bullshit that you just did? So rethink that. And same thing with the matches. We need to be thinking today about what's making money next month and 6 months down the line. So if it's all about giving everybody all you've got tonight and you're giving them nothing to come back to, then those are things that I think is lost in today's era of, particularly on the independents.
Would you agree that wrestling is meant to be like more episodic than it is like a pop-up show? Because I think that's kind of what you're alluding to, right? Like you have to carry it over and make them want to come to the next one and the next one and the next one.
I think I was just telling someone about this the other day. Now, as a 29-year guy, I'm not taking bumps off of ladders and things like that. We're going to go out there.
You're like, my name's not Jeff Hardy. Sorry.
We're going to do something different. And so you get the young guys and they kind of show up with like their notebooks with like 3 pages of notes saying, here's what I want to do tonight. And they're getting ready to talk to you about the match. And you'll say, we're not going to talk about anything until I see the opener. Because I want to go and see and listen to the people. And it's almost like, they're puzzled by this. Like, what do the people have to do with this? Well, if those people are alive, that's going to determine the direction that we're going tonight. If those people are dead, then we need to do something completely different to make sure that any body slam that I take tonight matters.
Well, I got to tell you right now, Renee, this really strikes home with me because being around wrestling, it's one of those where the fans' reaction is what like you were saying, Vance, is the direction you should take. I mean, it's one of those where I've seen so many crowds in my career of where you see people doing 2.5 backflips into splashes and things like that, and you don't hardly get any kind of a reaction. Yeah. You need to have the opportunity, like you said. There are wrestlers that can go out there, and I remember that's what got me hooked in professional wrestling, was the wrestlers that would go out there. And again, I remember being a young kid watching Georgia Championship Wrestling and seeing people holding on to headlocks and seeing like Harley Race and that delayed vertical suplex and things along the line. Those kinds of things to me really stand out because you have to, like, it's like you said, it's like any great performance. You have to understand what people are doing.
In fairness, I think that I find we have these conversations a lot where it's like, it's not like it was in the old days, but in fairness, if you have a kid that's really passionate about wrestling, who's 25 years old and has been following it since he was 5 years old, that was only 2002. So there's a lot that's before their time frame that they didn't know. And so it's our responsibility as those experienced guys to say, hey, check out this promo from Ricky Morton, or check out this segment, from 85 or 73 or wherever we're getting that footage from, and educating them. There's a lot of stuff that I like to incorporate in my matches now that is stolen directly from Johnny Valentine, which I never saw live. It was passed to me, and now I'm using it. And, going out there and doing something that is so radically different from the style that's being exercised by most other guys on the crew, it seems fresh and new, when in reality, it's that bit where, Johnny Valentine, his handle, was kind of like Honest John. I would never lie. And so during the match, when he's choking the guy, the ref says, "Hey, were you choking him?" "Yes." "Hey, did you have your feet on the ropes?" "Yes." All throughout the match, he's admitting to it. "Okay, don't do it again." And then when he gets to the finish and does something despicable, "Hey, did you have a handful of trunks?" No. Like, why would I start lying now, right? They got
Freaking genius.
Mhm.
And so, and the reaction that you get from people who are now have seen that whole story play out before them to the hook, where they're livid, right? They're ready to throw chairs. We have like a 45-year-old man, completely like tomato beet red face, screaming at me at the top of his lungs. That's when like, okay, we did good today.
Wow, what an incredible story. And what gems to pass along. I always try to remind everyone, we've got folks here that are veterans of the sport. We've got guys that watch, listen, and participate in the show as guests that are just getting started. In a couple of weeks, we're going to have a guy that's working here in Kansas, and he can't be more than 23 years old. So I want to say I appreciate, Vance, you sharing this knowledge, because, we'll see it in other sports. I'm going to kind of arc into football just a bit. So recently, the Tennessee Titans drafted a rookie, and their current quarterback, Tannehill, said that he's not there to mentor the new guy. He's there to focus on helping the team win now. I think both of those things should go together. They shouldn't be mutually exclusive. Helping the guys that are coming up and doing your job today can happen both at the same time. Am I right, Vance?
Absolutely, it can. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I love to hear that, because I know that I kind of like, and I'm not in the business necessarily as a worker, more as a commentator, ring announcer type deal. But I know that I value what I see and hear from the vets, and I'm inspired by the energy and the passion that the new guys bring. I think it's like a combination of both is absolutely best. Want to go with kind of another more mainstream question. Do you still watch wrestling in terms of like what's on TV week to week, or any of the pay-per-views? Like, did you watch Mania? And if so, did you take anything away from it? I'm curious.
You know what? I typically don't get to watch it live. So it's usually on the PVR, and then I catch up with it later, because I'm the only guy in my house who likes wrestling. My wife, after 30 years of this is like, I've had enough. I thought we were done with this. And my two sons, they like to go see it live, but they're like bored to tears watching it on TV. So usually it's like 11 or 12 at night, where you're watching it on the PVR and fast forwarding through commercials. You know what? I think that it's fantastic that there's so much engagement. I think if you're watching social media, you tend to see more of the negative than the positive about what's happening. But regardless of whether they're making positive or negative comments, the audience is still there. And I think that's the most important message to take away.
Engagement is everything. And I got to get your critique. Not that anybody's in a position to criticize somebody like Stone Cold Steve Austin, but as a 29-year veteran of the sport, what was your kind of take about how they carried along his match, how well he did, and Kevin Owens, because I think he's kind of the lost hero in all this, in my opinion. What did you take away from it?
I thought it was probably the most delightful surprise of all of the whole WrestleMania. Definitely night one kicked ass over night two. They set the bar really, really high, and I don't think night two ever got there.
That's absolutely fair to say. And then last kind of mainstream question, Cody Rhodes jumping from AEW to WWE. Does something like that matter? It's Dusty's kid, so it should, right? What do you think?
I think what matters is the long-term storyline. It's not about the jump from AEW to WWE. This is the level Cody was at when he left. He said that he believed he was here. He went away and he proved that, and then came back and signed a contract that was here. So, that's the real story within the story. So, he had to go out on his own and prove it. And I think that's what gets lost in a lot of, you'll hear different things about, guys leaving and getting released, and people think this is a big mistake. Well, when you look at the history of wrestling, go back to maybe the golden era for us, which was that national expansion of the WWF in the mid '80s, right? Nobody had long runs with the company. Even Hogan, who had that meteoric run, was there 6 years, and then time off for movies and things like that, right? So now you got a guy like Randy Orton who's there for 20 years. Like this is amazing. Like this is like unprecedented. The time frame without a change, without going to another territory and coming back. So yeah, you're going to have people that are critics of that, but the fact that someone has had that kind of longevity at that schedule, at that intensity for that long is incredible.
No question about it. Well, Skywalker, I know I've been a little bit selfish. It's been quite a while since we talked to Vance, and so I had quite a few questions built up. Vance, thank you so much for the transparency and honesty with your answers. Skywalker, man, jump back in here. I know you got a few more of your own.
Oh, well, I got a lot of information here. And first of all, again, this man not only is knowledgeable about the competition inside the squared circle, his knowledge of professional wrestling as a whole is really off the charts. Now, I have something here, and I know it's not officially one of yours, but right here, I have a copy. We talked earlier on in the introduction about the ear. I know our good friend Herb Simmons is a member of the Cauliflower Alley Club. I myself, as you can see behind me, I have my certificate as a part of the Cauliflower Alley Club. And I got to tell you, if you want to learn about the true sport of professional wrestling, this is an opportunity to join a great organization that would have
sorry, aren't we going in September? Sorry to interrupt. I apologize sincerely. Aren't we planning to go in September? Is that not what we've been discussing?
Sir. The Wrestle Talk podcast will
So maybe we'll get a chance to meet.
Yeah,
maybe get a chance to hang out a little bit, man. That'd be great.
That sounds great.
Yeah,
Love that idea.
And it's one of those things where I was kind of leading into my next thing. This man right here, Vance Nevada, he's got championship belts, history above reproach. But I want to take a minute here and talk about you are not only the editor of the year, but you also are an accomplished author. And one of the reasons why we wanted to have you on the program, and I'm going to have to read this off the paper so I make sure I don't mess it up, because this title is truly, to me, is perfect. You can see here, I got a lot of wrestling history here that I've accumulated over my time in the world of professional wrestling. Vance Nevada has recently wrote the book Untrolled Chaos, Canada's Remarkable Professional Wrestling Legacy. Now, I got to tell you, Vance, that title right there, and we talked about it earlier on, when you talk about the territory days of the, like you said, Winnipeg, Calgary, Montreal, Toronto. You have made mention too, I've done the research, you've been on the famed Tony Canelo Death Tours. I mean, you've been all around Canada. Can you give us a little bit? I mean, I know your previous book talked about the western part of the country. Can you give the viewers of the podcast just a little more about what was the motivation behind writing such a all-encompassing book about the history of Canadian wrestling? I think we're having some technical issues here. I don't know if it looks like the mic got muted here. I apologize for I don't know what happened.
Yeah, so in 2009, I published Wrestling in the Canadian West, working with Scott Teal at Crowbar Press in Tennessee, and it was really well received. It surprised me because I expected it, because it was kind of regional in scope, that we'd sell lots in that western half of Canada, and that would be our audience. And then it exploded. I mean, we were selling books worldwide. And as soon as it came out, I'd say, like, almost as soon as people got it in their hands, they said, okay, when's the book going to be on the eastern half of Canada? And I just, one of the things that, people don't realize is, when I was, got bit by the wrestling history bug, what I would do is I would piggyback my wrestling bookings with opportunities to do research. Because that was back before online newspapers and being able to do quick keyword searches and find stuff. You had to physically go to libraries, get the microfilm, scroll through hours and hours and hours of microfilm, try to find, ads or stories and results. So I would piggyback, and that's why I focused on the West, because that's where most of my travel had been. And I knew it like locked. Like I have almost a night by night account of the Stampede Wrestling territory for 40 years, over 8,000 shows promoted by Stampede Wrestling. And so that was the beginning. And so, getting into the East, like the East, particularly that Toronto territory and the Montreal territory, those are monsters, quite honestly. So, when you look at Stampede Wrestling, which everybody knows, the reality is they had 6 shows a week. So you would start Friday night in Calgary, Saturday night in Edmonton, Sunday night was off, Monday night Lethbridge, Tuesday night Red Deer or Medicine Hat, Wednesday night Saskatoon, Thursday night Regina, and then back to Calgary. And that was the loop every single week, year in and year out. But when you get into the East, into Toronto and Montreal, if you ever look at the, old results, classic results in Pro Wrestling Illustrated, maybe you see a result from the 70s in Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. And it was like this huge, colossal show with like 10 matches. And you just wonder to yourself, like, how are they supporting a roster of that many guys? But what they were doing is it wasn't 6 shows a week. It was 21 shows a week because they were doing, or 18 shows a week, rather, because the whole crew would meet in Toronto on Thursday night, and then they would split 3 ways. And so you had 3 shows running a night around the province of Ontario. And it was the same thing in Montreal. Montreal had, the big show in Montreal at the Forum, and then 3 shows a night happening in other locations around the province. And it gets even more explosive when you get into the 70s, in 1971 and 72, when the Vachons ran opposition to the Rougeaus, and now you've got these 2 superpower companies working against each other, and they're both running 3 shows a night. So, like, to gather all that research was a nightmare, because you fill all the dates and think, yeah, I got it. And then someone would say, oh, you forgot about Chicoutimi, or what about Granby? And so now we've got it all together. And, quite honestly, if I knew how big the job was going to be at the start, I would never have begun. But the list of results, and I keep them kind of in that Pro Wrestling Illustrated format of style. The list of results is now more than 6,000 pages in Word, and represents more than 58,600 shows. And so now take that 6,000 pages and distill it down into something that's consumable for, a casual fan, but still enjoyable for a diehard fan, and tells the story of all of that uncontrolled chaos. That's really the epitome of what we try to do.
Wow.
Well, I got to tell you, Vance, when you look at what's here, again, I'm just going back off of stuff that I've been able to see from the book. Over 200 promotions, championship histories, in-ring photography. I mean, this is one of those things. I mean, we talk about the territory days and how you would hope that you would have the opportunity to even know about one territory. I know personally, going back and looking at my home promotion, Dynamo Pro Wrestling, we've been around nearly 15 years. And to be able to follow one promotion and get all that information was a challenge. But when you start looking at 200 plus, and I mean, again, you brought up some phenomenal names like the Hearts in Calgary. You talk about the Vachons. You talk about the Rougeaus. Those are 3 names that are iconic when it comes to the world of professional wrestling in Canada. And as you see here, absolutely. I mean, again, I gotta give you props. I mean, this is a book that as soon as I saw it being out there, I'm like, yes, this is one that has to get added to the collection, because, like I said, there are a lot of great wrestling territories. There's a lot of great wrestling countries, and Canada definitely has their piece of the professional wrestling history. And I got to give you props for having the time, the energy, the patience, because I remember when I was in college and having to go through all the microfilm and having to watch all those little slides time after time. And you sit there and you look at it and you go, man, this is all blurring together. But to have all this information available is truly astounding.
I think that, down the line, when actually that collection of results gets shared with like the diehard historians, where they can just take it and then word search it if they're looking to research the career record of a specific guy. They say, oh, I know Johnny Valentine spent a lot of time in Canada, for example, and be able to go and see their night by night travel in Canada. I think that's going to be a great tool to have. When I think, I started doing the results research. It was a summer project I was doing just to keep myself entertained in the summer of 1994. And it still is, even today. I was on the French newspapers, and that's been, I think, will be one of the coolest things for people, because even if you've got some of those diehard, and there's a lot of Facebook groups now where people are sharing old newspaper ads or posters from shows, different territories or different promotions. Montreal usually gets left out, and I think that's because most of the researchers are English and don't speak French. So to now go through those French newspapers is tough, but you start to feel the rhythm. And I'm not fluent in French, but you start to get the gist of particular words that are repeated. And so adding that Montreal stuff, dating back to like 1932, where in addition to the big shows that we know about with like Yvonne Robert and Killer Kowalski and of course, the famous incident where Killer Kowalski took off Yukon Eric's ear in Montreal, in addition to that, you had this like undercurrent of local, basically independence of that era. They called them club shows. So these local club shows that were happening. But in that era, from the 30s to the 50s, you could go and watch wrestling live in Montreal every night of the week. Wow. And it's just outstanding, and so it's been really, really cool for me to see it and learn it. But also, to really look at it with a wrestler's eye, which has been my advantage in writing the book, because both from talking to wrestlers and getting them to tell me the stories and being on the road with guys, like, the curtains are wide open. We're one thing I did learn early on is it doesn't matter if you're a wrestler or not. If anybody sees you writing anything down in a locker room, everybody gets paranoid immediately. And so the stories all stop. Everybody wonders, what's he writing down? Is this guy a stooge for the office? So you learn to, commit to memory. So if you had that chance to do that road trip from one town to the next with the vet and just hear his stories, you're listening intently. And then as soon as you have that pee break or whatever it is, where they're out of the car for a minute, you're rapidly scribbling it down. And now it's easier. You can just type it into your phone and say, oh, I'm just sending a text to my wife.
I told you, man. Vance Nevada just dropping gems all over the kids here tonight, man. I love that shit. All right, I gotta get this in, Skywalker. So the book, amazing. Okay, everyone should get it, and we're gonna let you guys know here at the end where you can get it. But I'm curious. So I know there have been some people more recently, actually former guest Danny Duggan, who has attempted to do that tour. Do you applaud a guy like that? I don't know if you have a relationship with him or not. I'm just kind of, shooting in the air here. But point being, do you applaud a guy like that for trying to replicate some of the success that we've seen, based on what we were just talking about from your book?
Absolutely. I think it's such a, one of the things that you hear frequently, and you probably hear this in the States as well, from veteran guys that say nobody has an opportunity to learn the business anymore because there's no tours. You don't go on the road anymore. It's like a weekend warrior kind of stuff. You're going to wrestle Friday and Saturday night, and that's it. Where you're not in the car with that vet for the 5 or 6 hour drives, over the course of the week. For me, the best summer that I ever had was summer of 2002. I was wrestling in the Canadian Maritimes, and it was a pretty veteran crew. We had Eddie Watts, who was a junior heavyweight champion in Mexico and Puerto Rico. Chi Cruz, Bobby Roode was on that tour. Hangman Mike Hughes, myself, Sarah Stock was one of her first tours that she was on. And we were wrestling every night of the week, and we were all living together in this unfurnished 3-bedroom apartment that the promoter had provided for us. So we're all sleeping on air mattresses in this apartment. Somebody went down to Best Buy and bought a TV, knowing that you can return it like within 30 days, you get your money back. So we'd have this TV set up, and we're sitting on milk crates, but we'd go out and we'd wrestle, and then we would come back, and the ritual was every night, now we're watching the whole show back. And you've got all the vets sitting in the back, the green guys in the front, and you're getting your match critiqued. And then the commitment that was made before we would go to sleep, that vet in the back, usually it was Eddie Watts, saying, okay, here were the 3 holes in your work. Tomorrow we're going to get to that arena. We're going to get to the ring. The ring's going to be there at noon. We're going to be there at 12:30, and we're going to work on that stuff. And so we would go, and then we're in the ring now for 3 hours in the afternoon working on that stuff. So if you're like fixing 3 weaknesses in your repertoire every day, right? By the end of that week, right, you're so tight. And at the end of 8 weeks, you're a machine. And it just doesn't happen anymore because the touring doesn't happen and the road trips don't happen, right? Where young guys say, oh yeah, we've got a show. Yeah, we're all going to hop in a car together and go. Okay. And so I'm looking around going, well, I guess I'll drive by myself there. and there's 5 hours in a car that could be a knowledge transfer that is lost. So for what, the stuff that Danny Duggan is doing, where guys have an opportunity to go and do it, and I think the value, is demonstrated, and you've seen like Impact say, hey, we've got at that time Killer Cross. He's about to come up and join the roster. We're going to send him on the road with you for a couple of weeks. Or, Ring of Honor guys, Brian Johnson came through, sent up there specifically to do start to finish the whole tour and really test themselves. I think it's fantastic.
Well, I'd love to absolutely see more of that. And then my final question here tonight for you, Vance, is this. I know that us here in the States, we look at Canadians and Canadian wrestling history, at least I do, with a certain level of reverence. So when you have had the opportunity to wrestle in the States or elsewhere, have you felt that additional pressure that people do look at Canadians kind of as the standard to a certain extent of what can be done in the ring? I mean, we could go down the list with Owen and Brett and Jericho and so on and so forth. Have you ever felt that additional pressure saying, okay, not only do I have to do my job here tonight, but I'm also kind of representing Canada, and that's important because you guys have kind of a high standard to uphold, don't you?
I think, definitely, Canadian indies to American indies, up until recently, I would say, like when I broke in, it was almost snobbery in the same way that, when you look back at that, when you look back at like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, where Bret was like, well, Shawn kind of wrestles like a ping pong ball and I actually know how to wrestle. There was that kind of mindset going on at that time. I think that it's shifted a lot, especially with some of these major independents like Defy out of Seattle, where it's become a destination. A lot of Canadians want to get there. So definitely that has shifted. But I've seen both extremes. In '95, I did a tour through West Virginia and Tennessee, where they were blown away with the kind of stuff that we were doing, because we were doing, planches and topes and kind of stuff before the luchador influence really came in to the United States. But then I've also had on the extreme other side, where when I was in the Northwest in Portland and Washington State, where they said, yeah, we want you to do this Canadian patriot gimmick. And I said, yeah, okay, I'm comfortable to do that. But what I found was the reaction wasn't just strong from the people in the crowd. I'd be cutting my pre-tape promo in the back, and I would see that it ruffled feathers among the guys in the locker room. And so I might be going out there talking about, let me tell you about the quality of goods produced in Canada versus the United States. Like that made in USA tag. Let's be real. Everything's really coming from Taiwan.
Right.
And there was guys that were like so upset. And I remember I finished cutting the promo, and the promoter kind of gave me the like thumbs up, like, you nailed it, that's great. And I walked off the set, and these two big American guys, both about 6'3", about 350 pounds, they come up to me and they say, listen, this is one American you don't want to mess with, and here's another one. And I'm like, hey dude, it's all the work, man. But they were buying it hard, right? So,
oh man, nothing beats when you actually got the boys in the back buying into it. Ladies and gentlemen, Vance Nevada, Luke Roberts. I'm going to give you the kind of the closing comments here because we want to be respectful of his time. We do have a few minutes in between our following guest, and we want to make sure we give him his full time as well. But man, why don't you go ahead and do your attempt to close this out? I almost felt. Now I'm starting to feel almost like we should have reserved a little bit more time to continue this conversation because it'd been so long since we had a chance to talk, man. And 30, 35 minutes is most definitely not enough. I'm sure you agree with that, Skywalker.
Oh, I definitely agree. And again, one of the things to look at too, not only first of all, is a reminder, you need to make sure you pick up this book because this book is literally an encyclopedia of professional wrestling when it comes to the world of Canadian wrestling. And again, if you want to know anything about history, this is a book you want to pick up to make sure that you can learn. One of the things I was always taught in professional wrestling is you're always able to sit under the learning tree. It doesn't matter if you've been in wrestling for 3 minutes or you've been wrestling for 30 years. You always learn something new each and every time you go out to the ring. Now, Vance, I got to tell you, and Night Owl hit on it a little bit ago, I believe because of all your connections and all the things, you're going to be at the Cauliflower Alley Club in September. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm actually hoping that the American launch of the book will happen in step with this year's Cauliflower Alley reunion.
And I got to tell you right now,
awesome.
When that happens and it materializes, and like I said, when we get the opportunity, I'm going to tell you right now, The only thing I got to purchase right now is my plane fare. And I know that's been going up exponentially over the course of the past few weeks. But I got to tell you right now, this is going to be one of those that we need to sit down, talk about professional wrestling, and have an opportunity. Maybe it's round 3. Maybe it's that extended interview that the Night Owls talked about. But I do have to ask, before we let you go, for those that have been enjoying the program tonight, where can they get a copy of the book Uncontrolled Chaos?
Right now, we're still in registering for the pre-order because I've been negotiating, let's say, with the publisher on a daily basis because they say this book is too long. We need to cut it down. We've got about 480 pages, including all of those title histories for 600 titles and actually stats and rankings. I said, nothing can get cut. This is a history book. No one's going to sit down and read this in one sitting. So we're in the middle of that, but making good progress. So
don't give in, Vance. Don't give in. We want every stinking letter of that book. Don't let them cut you down, man.
So right now, if you go to Facebook, there is a official page for the book, Uncontrolled Chaos Book, on Facebook, and I'm dropping little teasers and some hints about what might be in the book and some rare photos on there. And you can shoot me a message through that Facebook page and get on the list. But the response so far has been fantastic, and it looks like the pre-order is going to eclipse the whole first print run of my last book already, and we're still a little while away from a release date.
Wow, and the one other question, besides all that, besides the opportunity to pick up this book and get your early copy and make sure you have everything taken care of, if people want to know more about you, and again, I want to see Renee's reaction because I have to give the whole name, Mr. Beefy Goodness, Vance Nevada. If you want to know more about you and see upcoming dates and places that you're going to be inside the squared circle, and again, if you look at the screen, here is the Facebook page. The Night Owl's got it up here. If you want more information about the book, make it a point, check it out on Facebook. Vance, if people want to know more about you and want to see where you're going to be in the weeks and months to come, how can they check up with you?
I think right now this is probably the best channel because it's been morning, noon, and night, everything about the book. Right now we're working on cover design and getting into layout. So this is the channel that is open from the moment I wake up in the morning, pretty well until I go to sleep at night. So shoot me a message through this page, and that's the easiest way to reach me.
Well, like I said, right now, again, Vance, I want to say on behalf of the Night Owl, Hardcore Hoss, myself, all the viewers of the Wrestle Talk podcast, I want to say thank you for coming on the program again. And I'm going to tell you right now, with all the conversations I've had a lot of people that have made many of the Cauliflower Alley Club reunions, people like Herb Simmons, like Dr. Drew Abenhouse, like Attila Khan, and countless others. I am very much looking forward to being at this year's event, and I'm very much looking forward, hopefully, to catch up with you and talk wrestling at the Cauliflower Alley Club. And hopefully, like you said, we'll be able to have an American release of the book Uncontrolled Chaos so that we can have that and we can share that with all of our listeners here and make sure people throughout the country get to take part and experience this great professional wrestling history book about Canada.
Awesome. Thank you very much, gentlemen. It's been absolutely my pleasure to be here.
All right. Well, we want to thank you, Vance. Like I said, we look forward to having you back on the program very soon. Ladies and gentlemen, Vance Nevada, the book Uncontrolled Chaos, Canada's Remarkable Professional Wrestling Legacy, will be available soon. Make it a point to check him out on Facebook. Vance, again, thank you very much, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Vance. Hey, you can put the publishers in one of those sweaty headlocks you're famous for, all right, Vance? Just put them in there. Take it easy, buddy.
That may be the next tactic.
There you go, man. We're here. We got your back. Peace.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the first hour of the Wrestle Talk podcast, we just had Vance Nevada. Great interview. And you know something, Night Owl? We've got another great Canadian wrestling interview still to come. But I got to tell you this right now. I'm going to let you in on a secret. As I told you before, my birthday's in 2 days. And I got somebody, and I know you got somebody, before we get to our second interview, that wants to come on and talk a little wrestling action. Talk a little FWWC.
Yes!
Wrestling action.
Been waiting for this, boy.
So tell you what, I'm going to go ahead, and I'm going to let you do the introduction because I'm going to tell you, I feel I could do a pretty good introduction myself.
You do. You're the man.
But when it comes to this man right here.
I mean, you're no Chris Rodell, but you do well. You do well.
I try. But like I said, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to you because I have never ever in all the years I've known you, I've never heard you give this man anything less than 6 stars, 6 super kicks, if you will.
I like that.
With
I
his
like that rating
introduction.
system.
So I'm going to go ahead and throw it over to you so we can go ahead and introduce our next guest here tonight on the Wrestle Talk podcast. And as a reminder, in just a few minutes, G.A. from the FML promotion will be joining us. Night Owl, I'm going to send it over to you.
Okay, there we go. Come on, technical guys. Let's get our act together here. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, instead of giving you our traditional, and we like to support a lot of local artists and things like that. You guys know about Vinsanity. You guys know about Remy Ricks or whatever. You guys know about DBD. This week, during our break, we're going to actually leave you with a dear friend and a longtime member of the Wrestle Talk family, the originator, the creator, the head administrator of the world's premier fantasy wrestling promotion. Now, I can hear the snickers in the back. So let me preface bringing this man on by saying this. Fantasy wrestling changed my life. Just like fantasy football changed the sport of professional football forever. It will never be the same as it was before fantasy football came on. Why? Because back in the day, if our team wasn't playing, most likely we probably didn't give a damn about football that weekend. Fantasy football made it so that every single week, every single game, you had an invested interest in football. Well, my partner, DeJuan Mills, did exactly that when he created the FWWC. Pro wrestling fans are invested in every match at every point of every show. I don't care if it's a boring-ass Monday Night Raw or a SmackDown. If you're a part of the FWWC, you're going to be on the edge of your seats because every match, every promo, every role play, every single thing that you do leads you to being at the very top of the mountain in the FWWC. And let's just be honest, not everybody has the luxury and the privilege of being able to actually go inside the squared circle. Sometimes it's a money thing. Sometimes it's a family thing. Sometimes it's a physical thing. The FWWC gives everybody an opportunity to be a champion. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, to bring us the most updated and recent card that is going to be taking place in the FWWC this upcoming Friday, the one, the only, the originator, the creator, the head administrator, amigos, the one and only, DeJuan Mills.
You give me too much credit, Night Owl. Way too much credit.
You deserve it all, dude. You've changed people's lives. People travel across the country to go to the Wrestle Talk podcast FWWC watch parties. People that are looking to get into the business come to the FWWC to work on their promo game. They learn how to deal with promoters. Okay, they learn the etiquette and the respect that they need to even step foot in the world of professional wrestling. And you're one of the guys that facilitates that. So I'm going to give you all the credit you deserve and a little bit more. But bro, enough of the praise, enough of the putting you over, because you got a card that you're going to go through with us. And it's for this upcoming Friday night, man. So I'll go ahead and give you the floor, and then we'll be back in just a matter of minutes with our regularly scheduled program with our second featured guest of the evening, the one and only G.A. straight out of Canada, baby. DeJuan, you know what to do, baby. Take it over.
Damn straight. Let's go. Let's go. So this upcoming Friday's card, I know a lot of people have been wondering, am I on the card? Am I wrestling? Am I doing this? I'm doing that. My purpose tonight is to give the card. If you want the details, you have to tune in this Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Central to the FWWC tonight. But as we know right now, this is the card for this upcoming Friday night's FWWC Live Challenge. We will have, starting, El Luchador de KC versus James Buckus, round 2. Not quite sure where this feud is going. These two gentlemen have a hell of a lot of history. But at the exact same time, it is going to be an amazing one-on-one match. El Luchador de KC versus James Buckus, round 2, the brick wall. Very, very interesting match. I will say that the powers that be put this together. We're going to have none other than the Prophets of Madness. Now, the Prophets of Madness have returned here in season 10, but they're not going to be alone. We're going to have an epic 3-on-3 tag team match with the Prophets of Madness and Theory, who just hosted his Theory Tube. Make sure you go back and check that out. Check that segment out. The Theory Tube segment went other than the Alpha this past Monday. However, the Assassins Syndicate, that is right, the brand new, making a lot of noise Assassin's Syndicate will take on the Prophets of Madness in Theory in a 3-on-3 tag team match this upcoming Friday. The returning, haven't seen this guy in a while, Trucking Nightmares. That is none other than Nightmare Jones and Jimmy Rattlesnake, our WWC Hardcore Champion, versus the also returning. This is like a blast of the past on like some Throwback Thursday deal. Death Posse. That is Marcus Mayhem and none other than the returning Swag. Some call him Swag Daddy. Some call him Swagalicious. All of us love to head to that casino of his. It's a nice place. Trucking Nightmares versus Death Posse. Let's see here. Oh, wait a minute. Night Owl. I see that I have a match on the card against a Devil's Dynasty member with Sick. We got to talk about that. We really do. The CEO, yes, the CEO is back in competition in season 10. Didn't do too good in my first match, but you know what? We're going to roll with it. So apparently I'm in a match against a Devil's Dynasty member. No idea who that is, but I'm going to be prepared for it, baby. Let's roll, because the Devil's Dynasty been getting on my nerves for a while. And last but not least, the main event of the night, the top main event. We will see the longest reigning FWWC Tag Team Champions in this group's 10-year history, the Law Dogs. That is our FWWC Heavyweight Champion of the World, Lawman Luke Justice, and his tag team partner, the Warriors Heart Champion, El Mataratas. Collectively, they are the Law Dogs, taking on Robert and a mystery partner. There is a lot of uncertainties Friday. I don't know who the hell I'm fighting. The Law Dogs only know half of who they're competing against. It's going to be a crazy Friday. I know that much.
Well, I can only say this, CEO. I mean, the effort and energy that goes into booking these cards, man, is not easy. And I know a lot of people are going to fuss. A lot of people are going to cry and complain about why they weren't on the card. Well, listen, if you're not on the card, all I can say is look in the damn mirror. Okay? Last year, we let you guys run Rub Shot, and the Devil's Dynasty almost destroyed the FWWC. And it hadn't been, and I hate to say this, I know you hate to admit this too, CO, but if it had not been for El Mata, Sage Mode, and La Familia, the FWWC may have never reached year 10. Before you go, tell us, year 10, what does it mean? And why is it important that we're here today?
Year 10, in my honest opinion, has been one of the most structured and complete seasons we had here in the FWWC. A long way from year 1, because as you said before, in years past, we had matches here, matches there, pull the curtain back a little bit, storylines here, storylines there, this guy fights that guy 10 times. It was all over the place. But the structure that we have right now, me personally, from a board of directors point of view, and also as a fan, it is so easy to reference not only the card, but to know exactly what's going on. I can reference El Luchador de KC and James Buckus. I know exactly what's going on with that. I know exactly what's going on with the Prophets of Madness in Theory. It is so easy to pinpoint and go back and look at exactly what match you're interested in, what feud you're interested in. There's no jumble mumble going on. If this is happening in the FWWC, you know exactly why it's happening, because it's right freaking there, as a business should be. As we grow as a business, our conduct must grow. Our professionalism must grow. How we do things must grow. And we have to get better. And damn it, year 10 has been a hell of a lot of growth, baby.
Ooh, I love to hear that. One more time, as quick as you can, bro. Run through that card with us. Don't even miss a hiccup here. Let's go one more time in case everybody missed it. Give it to me in 15 seconds.
El Luchador de KC versus James Buckus, round 2. Prophets of Madness with Theory versus Assassin Syndicate, 3-on-3 tag team match. Trucking Nightmares versus Death Posse. CEO versus me, whoever the hell is, and I have no idea what's going on with that. And versus the Devil's Dynasty member with Sick. I know Sick is going to be at the side. I see you, Sick.
That's really
the important words. That's the important part. I know who the hell is going to be there. And last but not least, the main event of this Friday, The Law Dogs versus Robert and a mystery partner.
Love to hear that. And as always, if you want to get on the card for Friday, cut a damn promo. Because in the FWWC, activity is king. Boom, baby. See you later, Dewan. Peace.
We out here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are now going to continue with our regularly scheduled program. Luke Skywalker, I know we've got a VIP guest here in the second hour, just like we did in the first. I mean, geez, freaking Louise. When I said we could have done a whole hour with Vance Nevada, there was absolutely no question, no doubt in my mind that we could have. And as the kids say these days, no cap, no cap. That's real talk right there. Okay. But the FWWC equally on fire. Dewan came in, did an absolutely fantastic job. Your thought on the FWWC card for this upcoming Friday?
Well, I can tell you right now, Night Owl, it's going to be one of those where, I mean, I've seen a lot of things going on this Friday night. And I got to tell you, in the last couple of weeks, having the opportunity to have these Friday night challenge segments here on the Wrestle Talk podcast, I think it's really telling people you got to step up your game, because you're going to know plenty of time what's going on.
No excuses.
Yeah, exactly. No excuses. And when it comes down to it, again, the only thing I got to say tonight, he brought his game, but no shout out to me. Dewan always gives me a shout.
Yeah, he does. He does.
He shows the love. But like I said, again, not a big deal. He's a busy man. He's got a lot of things going on. He's taking care of the FWWC.
He is.
Big props to our buddy, Dewan Mills. And also, of course, Royal Mills Transportation as well. Got a lot of great things going on. You're a lot of great sponsors.
That's a great point. Yeah, absolutely. And Royal Mills Transportation. And on that note, man, your timing is absolutely impeccable. I know you guys are anxious. I know you're itching. But before we get on to that VIP guest one more time, Everything Combat, Kincaid Arcade, Esports Bar KC, Interstate 70 Sports Media, Royal Mills Transportation, Painter's Dream Production, Rathbun Engraving, Me Fiesta KC Party Rentals, Nobleman's a Barber Lounge, Kansas City, Missouri, Ask for Pete the Barber, and of course the FWWC. Last note, we are unveiling our new logo for episode 400. We're going to have some VIP guests, and we may even have some new merch available that day.
Got to keep watching Wrestle Talk Podcast out on the social media. I got to tell you, Night Owl, we're going to keep this episode rocking and rolling. This is a man that I had an opportunity to meet through some mutual connections. And this man has spent the better part of 15 years being around the world of professional wrestling, whether it's been in booking, whether it's been involved in professional wrestling, whether it's been podcasting, you name it. This man has seen and done a lot. And I got to say, I'm very excited to have this man on the program here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the host of the FML Wrestling Podcast, which you can catch on all forms of social media. Ladies and gentlemen, G.A., and I'm going to make sure I get this right, G.A. Wah, how are you doing this evening, sir?
Unmute yourself, G.A.
There we go. All right. I'm doing pretty good. Hey, Luke, I'm going to wish you a happy birthday, fellow Taurus, in advance.
Hey,
international birthday wishes. I'll take that. I will take that. Well, I got to tell you right now, this man, and Night Owl, I'm going to let you in on a little secret, a little bit of behind the scenes. We talked about just a minute ago about how Dewan kind of pulled the curtain back a little bit.
Did.
This man and I have had conversations about our new platform, and when I asked him the things that we need to make sure things are done, he was like a precision watch. He knew exactly what was going on. He knew what was there. And I got to tell you, not only that, too, I'm just sitting here and looking at it right now. I think we've got the identical same chair, too. It's obvious that we think.
Oh, and look at my man's background, man, looking like Brian Stelter over here, my guy. You are killing the game.
Well, I can tell you right now, bro. This is going to be a great interview. Now, the first thing I'm going to ask you is this: you've been around professional wrestling a long time, but I want to go even a step farther back. We talked earlier on with our first guest about the proud and rich tradition of wrestling in Canada. For those that aren't familiar with you, can you give us a little bit about what drew you in, what hooked you to the world of professional wrestling all those years ago?
Oh, I got the perfect answer because I know exactly where and when and who was with me. We are talking about Bret Hart, British Bulldog versus Owen Hart, Bob Backlund, Monday Night Raw, 1994.
Wow. And that's a great match to be.
That's very specific.
Well, I got to tell you right now, I mean, that is a great match to look at. Now, I've got to ask, with all the wrestling that was there a particular wrestling promotion that you enjoyed growing up? Was it? I mean, again, you had WCW, you had the WWF, you had ECW. Was there any promotion or particular faction that you really got into growing up early on?
Well, us in Canada, we had TSN. So TSN on Mondays put Raw on, and on Tuesdays at 4 o'clock. So me after school, I could watch the replay. And on Wednesday we had Nitro, and eventually on Thursdays we had Thunder. And one weekend on Friday nights, I came upon ECW on TNN. I was like, what the heck is this? And I fell in love with Rob Van Dam because that was the Rob Van Dam that was with Fonzie, that was with Sabu. And I was like, what the hell is this? It's like, this is not WWF
Okay.
at the time.
Okay. Time out. Story time. Story time. Okay.
Story time with
Okay, hold on.
right
So
here on episode 395.
GA, you're gonna love this, okay? And we both have French Canadian names, so I'm Renee. So we already connected right here, bro. But I gotta show you this. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. My bad, Skywalker. Let me exit here. My apologies. This
Okay,
right
now
here,
let's
buddy.
make it work.
This picture was signed by Rob Van Dam about 5 years ago here in Kansas City, and he was doing a comedy show. Went to the comedy show with him and my buddy Matt Light, and for some reason, I don't know if it's just this face, after the show they were let's just say they were looking for a way to amuse themselves, and we all know Rob Van Dam's kind of history and why so many people connect with him. I don't know if it's because I'm Latino, bro. I don't know if it's like a stereotypical thing. They're like, it looks like that guy knows where we can get some grass. So long story short, about an hour later, somehow, I have no idea how, it has nothing to do with me, they found some. We go downstairs, myself, Katie, Rob, Matt, we're all climbing the ladder all the way up to Cloud 9, and he could not have been any cooler, bro. Everything you've ever heard about Rob Van Dam is 100% absolutely true. And G, I don't blame you for being a huge fan of Rob Van Dam, because I am too, brother. I am too. I've been waiting to tell that Rob Van Dam story. You're here today, and this is the first time everybody else is hearing it. So I had to do it for you, bro, because Rob Van Dam, bro, that's my guy, bro, right here in my heart, dude. So I'm sorry for interrupting, but go ahead. I had to share that.
I can concur because Rob Van Dam was in Montreal, and he's the same guy that he's on TV. So when you meet him, it's like, hey man, how are you? Like, everything good? Yeah, all right. Like, that's how he talks. That's how he is. He's just laid back, and we had a great match over here. But yeah, I concur that Rob Van Dam is just cool, whether he's on the floor or really high, if you will.
And we're not talking about the frog splash either, ladies and gentlemen.
No.
Well, you know, I got to put this one out here. And now that you're talking about it, Renee, we're going to kind of take a little bit of a different tangent here. Best frog splash in the game. And I'm going to throw 3 of them out here. The 2 first you would know: RVD, Eddie Guerrero, and Montez Ford. Your thoughts?
Well, RVD did the 5-star frog splash, which he always bounced back.
5.
Yeah, he's
5.
right. 5. It's a good point.
That's one. Eddie Guerrero always had that smoothness and intensity, and he landed. He didn't bounce back. So you knew he hit it, you're done. But Montez Ford is a different beast, man.
Yeah.
He flies, and he doesn't need anything to get the high, you know? Like, he's an amazing athlete. And I would dare to say that Montez Ford, just with the height and the velocity he bounces back, he might be the new king of the frog splash.
I gotta say, there's a lot of things, and you hit right on point there. All 3 men bring a different style of the frog splash to the ring, and again, it'd be a definite interesting thing to see. Now, before we go on and talk about FML, and we're going to talk about a lot of great things going on with your promotion, I would be remiss, and we've been talking about it all night. If we can go ahead and throw up the question of the night here, hopefully we can get this up here. We've had a few technical glitches here in this last hour. But the question of the night, and we've had a lot of people mentioning it in the comments, a lot of people have been talking about Ric Flair in the news as of late. getting ready to come back into the ring one more time. In your opinion, who should Ric Flair face in his final matchup?
Well, I heard the previous answers. So I heard Sting. I heard Ricky Steamboat. How about we do a family thing? How about Andrade?
Ooh. He would make Rick look like $1,000,000. He would do what like KO did for Austin. He would make Rick look so great. I'm a mega fan of Andrade. I love that idea.
I can say that's a great idea. And like I said, we're seeing all sorts of great comments here in the section. And we just had another one right here from our good friend G.A. up at the FML promotion. Now, I got to ask you, you've been around professional wrestling now, if my numbers are correct, for 15 years. I got to tell you, when you first started in the world of professional wrestling, what kinds of things did you do? I mean, we're going to talk a little bit later on about your time being the man with the pencil, the man that's behind the booking, behind the FML Wrestling Podcast. But when you first got in the wrestling business, what kinds of things did you do and experience early on in your time in pro wrestling?
All right. Well, it's a great thing. I have a great memory, and people don't know me, but people know who I've been around. So I started up with CPW up in Ottawa Gatineau region, which was the place to be. 450 fans every 2 weeks. Every
Damn,
2
baby.
weeks.
That's a
All right?
house right there, boy.
Yeah. And they weren't like international stars. It was local Canadian talent. So that's a very big point to know. And the booker at the time was looking for a ring crew member. And it was like, you can have $20 and you can enjoy the show for free and be a security guard. I was like, okay, cool. So I show up first day, and guess who are my ring crew members? Player Uno and Stu Grayson.
Wow.
That's a memory right there.
Wow, dude. Wrestling heaven, brother.
Yep, and at that time we had our friend Frank Morin, who is now passed on. That we were the whole ring crew. So I was there with, I didn't know at the time, but I was part of something so special. And we did the ring crew. I did security. You always get beat up because you're security, right? So did the ring crew for about 2 years before the Fed closed. But eventually, our gang went to IWS in Montreal, which is on the Fight Network and a whole bunch of stuff. And that's where Uno and Stu, they started to pierce. That's when they started to go to Shikara, going to Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, the first round. And these guys are amazing human beings.
Yeah.
And that's what people need to understand. Like, they are amazing, amazing wrestlers. And for the people that say that Stu Grayson was awesome at AEW, you guys don't know the half of it. Go on independent wrestling TV, go C4 wrestling, go and watch those matches. You want the real Stu Grayson, you want the world champion Stu Grayson, you want the guy that was able to talk Stu Grayson, go watch C4 wrestling. You will see what he really is capable. And trust me, the Dark Order stuff was good, but that wasn't even half of his potential.
Wow.
So
Well,
that was the
now, I'm going
beginning.
to jump in here. I got to jump in here.
Cool.
And now you talk about Evil Uno, you talk about Stu Grayson. I've watched a lot of wrestling. Being around it for 30 plus years, I've watched a lot. You can see back here, I've got a laundry list between DVDs and books, you name it. I've probably had some connection with it. I have to say, one of the first times my wife was wanting to know about the Dark Order. My wife, the night owl knows my wife. I've met my wife on several occasions. She really doesn't get the whole wrestling thing. But she was sitting there, and I'm sitting there, I'm watching the Dark Order, and I'm like, okay, I'm getting this. And all of a sudden, she's like, I just don't get it. I'm like, well, tell you what, let's take this a different avenue. And I went back and watched an event, and it was hilarious. You had Uno and Delirious in the ring.
Oh,
and having the opportunity.
All right.
And it's one of those where they're talking about all the classic 8-bit, and then they talk about things like the Sega Genesis and the TurboGrafx 16, and it was one of the most hilarious things that I'd ever seen. And my wife doesn't laugh about a lot in pro wrestling. She was just about rolling on the floor. It was hilarious. And again, I got to tell you, I agree with you 100% that there's a lot of things, people like Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, and others. If you get a chance, Independent Wrestling TV is a great avenue for that.
No question about it.
Well, the next question I've got is this: you've traveled to all these promotions, and we go to 2019. It seems like it was so long ago. Honestly, it really does. But you had the opportunity to be in the position of the booker, and I'm going to tell you right now, that is not an enviable position in a lot of cases, because you are the one that ultimately has a lot of decisions to make. I got to ask you, how do you get into, with all the different things you've done, how did you happen to become the booker for a professional wrestling promotion?
All right. Well, we talked about fantasy wrestling, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, who has not played EWR?
Heard
No,
of it? Yeah, know
Okay,
something about it.
So, and it's a software where you're the booker, and
Yeah,
you
it's a
have
simulation.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I was hard on that. I did eFeds back in the day.
Whoa, there! You're
There you
one
go,
of us.
Nido.
You're one of us. I love you, bro. I knew this was going to be a great interview because you know that the wrestling community snickers at us. And some guys that start in eFeds and go to wrestling, they're like, oh, yeah, I don't want them to know about that. I'm like, bro, this is where you learn how to promo, bro. Thank you. Thank you, GA. That makes me so happy to hear you say that because you're a real life, legit, respected promoter. And for you to talk about that, I think that's a good thing, man. I'm sorry for interrupting. I just had to say that.
I just finished a podcast like 20 minutes before I came on. And I was with Tama Dzbo, which is half of TDT, one of the best, if not the best, Canadian tag team right now. And he said that I always ask one question. It is, if you had one thing you could change in the wrestling world, what would it be? And he said, I would like for people to be more professional, stop the jibber jabber, the bullshit talking down to people, creating drama, and just support the one thing we all love, which is professional wrestling. Aren't we
Amen.
all in love with wrestling or not?
All
And
forms.
if you are,
Yes,
stand
sir.
up
Yes,
for
sir.
wrestling, period.
All flavors.
And some people, they stayed in the wrestling world because of eFeds, because they didn't want to watch wrestling because it wasn't that strange period where it wasn't watchable. But they stayed in the wrestling world because of it, So as long as it's good and it's healthy, why not just let people do what they want with the wrestling world?
Amen.
I get you there. Now, as you said, you'd spent a year as a booker. I gotta ask, what memories could you share with us of things that you'll take from that time? Because I mean, again, being a booker in the world of professional wrestling is definitely something that a lot of people aren't necessarily familiar with. What kinds of things will you take from your time being in that position?
All right. So I read a lot. I'm an avid reader. I read a lot of self-help book and professional health book. And Stephen Covey with the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People say, start with the end of mind. So usually in Canadian wrestling, at least, we go from September to June. That's our wrestling year. So you start with the end of the year. Just not all the show, just what's your main storyline and work backwards towards that. So what I did was I used to oh, it's all black. I don't know if I'm on screen.
It looks like it to me. I think that
You look good to us, buddy.
You're still here. I can still
Right.
hear you.
Okay. So my don't worry about it. So what I used to do is that I used to take the last show and work backwards. And a lot of the things I had to do was I had a Fed that had but a lot of bad press, and it was warranted. Like they earned it. It was, those tacky Feds that you go there to laugh, not to enjoy wrestling, that kind of thing. And it is what it is. So they gave me an opportunity, and I needed to reestablish the reputation. So I had to clear the good old boys clique and get some real talent, some capable talent, some people that are actually going to be selling tickets, butts in the seats, right? And I had to understand who would draw and what type of stories would actually get people enthralled. And we didn't have any stables. We didn't have credible storylines. So we had to like basically quit everything and restart everything. And the first 2 months, it was incredible because local wrestlers were talking to me on Messenger like it was sometimes it was too much, and they were like, "Do you need me? Do you want me to wrestle?" And I was like, "I'll see." And sometimes you have to be polite and say, "I'll see if there are places on the show." But when you talk to certain talents that are recognized and they're great talents, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm willing to give you a shot because I know what it is, but I want to see if you can change it." Well, it gives you a little bit of like an incentive to work your ass off and get everything done. So if there's one thing I remember was the show I was at, the first one before I was, well, the last one before I was Booker, we had about 70 paying customers. And the first show I did the promotion, I handled the social media, and we had 140 paying customers. So we doubled the Athens the seats in one show. And the one after that, it was a little bit more, but I saw direct results, and people were like, "Wow, like you changed the decor. We had two big screens. Like we were working our butts off to make this a credible show." And everything came to a halt with COVID. Uh, the day of the show, March 20th, 2020, we
Yep.
had a show called Mars Attack.
When it changed.
In the morning, it was still on. By 2 o'clock in the afternoon, everything got shut down. So we lost a bunch of money. um, and it is what it is, you know? And, but I'll remember that we had at least two shows that people were all on board. And, yeah, I had a great time. But being a booker, what I remember is it's a lot of stuff. You have to compartmentalize your personal life, your professional life, and then your wrestling life. So you got like three things you need to really like. I had to wake up at 5 in the morning, get my workout, and then people were already messaging me. And then you go to work, and some people they message you at any time of the day, like midnight, whatever. So I like when I came back home, my father of three, you know, so I got stuff to handle. And when they went to bed at 8, from 8 to midnight, boom, wrestling, wrestling, wrestling. So, and because I was playing catch up, when you're taking a company that's like in the minus 3,000 because you're working backwards, it's not evident. But now we're talking FML. We're not talking the same league. Oz, who's the president, bought the company I was running because he was my mentor. That's how we met. I had my own podcast that was called Raising Your Value. So it was raising your value in your life, in your gym life, and everything. And I just shot him an email of like, would you mind coming on my show and talking about how to raise the value of your wrestling company? And I just I he told me, "Well, let me think about it." And then I wrote because always write my whole format of the show, and I sent it to him, and it was like, "Holy shit! Like you did your research." I was like, "Well, yeah. Don't everybody that does a podcast do research?" And he was like, "No, you're one of the first ones that's ready for me." And like, and that's how he gave me my shot because he saw how professional I was, how ready I was, and how
Attention to
invested
detail.
I was.
Right.
And he came here and he did the podcast with me, and then we went to the show that I was booking, and that's how our relationship went. And I was supposed to actually buy the company before COVID hit, and then the other guy, well, he was just fed up, and life is life, you know. And I told Eric, and Eric told me, let trust me, let me buy the company. So he bought the company, and it became FML. And well, everything was stopped for about a year and a half. And COVID in Canada is not COVID in the States. Like we are over regulated. Like we closed 4 times. Like we are so over. Like we just like last week, we just got permission to not have mask indoors.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let me just say that let me just say that everyone should thank their lucky stars that this is a wrestling podcast and not a regular podcast, because if it was, I would have some choice words for Justin Trudeau. A lot of my very, very good friends in Canada are still, like you, suffering with lockdowns and borderline medical tyranny, bro. So my heart goes out to you, bro. You know, I talked to Danny. I talked to some of the guys that are doing work up there. We just talked to Vance in the first hour. I know you heard it, and it breaks my heart, bro, because you guys have so much great stuff to offer up there, and for everything to continue to still be such a slow burn, it's hard to watch, brother. As is people dying from COVID. I mean, there's no great answer here, but my heart goes out to you, bro. And listen, you heard us earlier. We started the show with we called the show "Oh Canada," right? So we're definitely in a partnership here, man. We love you guys.
And you know
We
something,
love and what you guys bring to the pro wrestling world, especially.
yeah, when you talk about the world of professional wrestling, I mean, that's one of those things when you look at professional wrestling countries that have made an impact in the world of professional wrestling, Canada's right up there at the top of the list with all the different promotions that have
Like I
been
said,
brought
up
forward.
here.
Yep. Now, the last question I'm going to ask before we go ahead and kind of get to our next segment here, you talked about the FML Wrestling Podcast. And like I said, the Wrestle Talk Podcast now is getting ready to hit that landmark number 400. 400 episodes. I got to ask you, for those who would want to have the opportunity to listen to the FML podcast, what can they expect from listening to your program?
Well, we both have French and English podcasts, so that's one thing. Also, the thinking behind the FML podcast was we need to be still active. We need people can't forget about us because we were FML did 800, 450 sold outs three times. The first three shows, they did 800, and 450 people. And it came out of nowhere. They had momentum, like it didn't make sense. And then everything stopped. And then you come back. We came back in September of 2021, and we had three shows, but the momentum hit us a little bit. So I don't remember the numbers. And then in December, everything stopped again. And we just restarted in March. So the show, everything reopened in March 2022, and we had like benefit shows for other companies. So we did a fundraiser for people that living on the streets. We did a fundraiser for I think you guys called it VH. You know those Halls Viking VHH VFH. I think it's where
VFWs?
VFW
Yeah, exactly.
for veterans. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we got our version here. So that was a fundraiser for that. We're helping other feds do fundraisings, but our real shows was May 7th. So it was like 2 Saturdays ago. That was our first. We did two shows back to back. It was a dojo show in the afternoon, and we did FML Absolution during the evening. So we just started, and we have our show this weekend. We have an amazing card, and
If I may, GA, I have actually something that I'm going to share on your behalf. And kudos to you, Hardcore Hoss. I know you're still back there running our audio. Can we get a round of applause, please, for GA here for bringing his own slideshow to the Wrestle Talk podcast? I mean, come on, let's get this man a round of applause. He absolutely deserves it. We got to give him something because this is fantastic. I don't think we've ever had anybody bring their own slideshow to the podcast. Hoss, what do we got, man? We got a song or a round of applause or like, I don't know, something awesome. Hit it, Hoss.
Hold on, we're working on that. Our media
got it. Yeah. That Barry Horowitz. Thank you, Hoss. By the way, also a secondary round of applause to our audio engineer, Hardcore Hoss, in the background, man. Thank you for making everything happen. We love you, bro.
No problem.
All right.
There he is.
All right, well,
Love
see
that
right
guy.
here,
But dude,
I mean,
great.
can you go ahead and give us a little bit about this matchup that we see right here? We see the graphic. Can you give us a little bit about this matchup, GA?
Absolutely. So you must recognize Cheeseburger, world famous Cheeseburger. For us, American stars are a big deal because it's a lot of cost, but it's a lot of investment and faith. So Cheeseburger is facing XS Junior. So this is a 16-year-old second generation wrestler. This guy just did his first show against Mei-Jung Lee and against Dars in C4 Wrestling, which was the company I was talking to you about, which is like the wrestling company in all of Canada at the moment. It's been for 10 years. So, and we have Scrapper James Stones, who's a veteran of over 15 years. This combat is going to be a great, and with Cheeseburger, you know you're going to have quality wrestling. So that's that type match for that one. Dylan Mesho, I think it's the upstanding Dylan Mesh against the Rabid Honey Badger Ryan Mooney, who are two graduates from the Worldwide Dojo. So that's going to be something. I haven't met those guys, but if Cheeseburger is bringing them with him, they must be worth it.
I'm getting like a John Wick versus a very rabid Joe Dirt in this matchup, man. I'm telling you, these guys look like they're going to kick the crap out of each other.
All right, so this is the Future Stars match. So I'm not sure if you guys know, but two wrestlers that have traveled the borders are Junior Benito and McCray Martin. McCray Martin's been wrestling in the States lately, but these two guys are amazing, amazing human beings, but amazing wrestlers. So we got 8 of the most outstanding wrestlers, and trust me, if you guys can get them in the States, do so. They are all worthy. So this is the cream of the crop of Canadians up and coming stars. So we're going and so TDT, and actually the first guy on your left or my right, that's the guy I just finished my podcast with. Thomas Dubois, his partner Mathieu Saint-Jacques, Tabarnak de Team, TDT are going up against Lock and Loaded, the Golden Gun, Mark Wheeler, and Clutch Jesse V. So these guys have been in America before, and then actually they've been, I think they were in Chicago last week. This is a must see, and by the way, all of this is going to be on Independent Wrestling TV also in about a couple of weeks after the show is going to be airing. And after that, this is Deathwish Aiden Prince that you have probably seen on Impact Wrestling, actually.
They have.
Exactly. So Aiden Prince against Dars, and this guy is something else. This guy, I got a couple of guys that are driving 5 hours to see this matchup. It's that intense. It's going to be something to see.
And by the way,
right.
just by first appearances, I will say Dars looks like a very disrespectful young man, and I like it.
All right, so we're talking about Lucha Guerrero Saya against Invencible Jr. So these guys have been doing their rounds everywhere in Canada. They're from AAA from Arena, Mexico. So they've traveled. So this is going to be a sight to see.
Well, let me just say this, and I'll offer my services because I think that these sorts of matchups, especially outside of Mexico, are very, very important for the sport of professional wrestling. Going back to, you talking about seeing WCW, the cruiserweights, the luchas. If you guys should ever need somebody to translate one of these matches with Spanish commentary, you can at least put one in the bank, courtesy of the Night Owl. Because just like you can speak French, I can speak Spanish, and I think that adds such a layer to professional wrestling when you can hear it in another language. It just connects everybody together in such an incredible way that just let me know, bro. I would be more than happy to look at some video and use the mic and put commentary over it, because I think matches like this need to be seen outside of Canada, outside of the States, all the way down into Mexico and beyond, man. So just let you know that I mean it 100%.
Absolutely. So these are local legends. We got Chacal against Gorgeous Mike. Gorgeous Mike is a guy from the region that the show's going to be. So this is a very locally awaited match. Carter Mason, the King of the North, is facing the fantastic El Mosquito. So El Mosquito is a Quebec-based wrestler, but this guy can go, man.
Wait. There's
This guy
mosquitoes
can
in
really.
Canada? I thought it was too cold for mosquitoes in Canada. Am I wrong?
Well, we had a week. Oh my God, for Fahrenheit conversion.
Fahrenheit conversions.
Hold on.
I'm in Celsius, right? So
Yeah.
we had days of 30 Celsius this week. So it was bikini worthy weather.
Bikini worthy. And I will say, I will admit, as an American, we're very, very arrogant because we're different from everybody else. It's just our fault. I will take the blame for that.
All right. So this is a VIP Rumble. So this is the VIP match before the event. And the winner of this will face our FML champion XS for the title. So this is a very important Rumble.
Dude, a question for you when it comes to the Rumbles. Do you prefer typically to lead shows off with it? A lot of promoters do. Can you tell me why? I'm curious about that.
Well, first off, we have VIP tickets. So there are $30 Canadian dollars for first row. And so we want to hype up the VIP. We want to sell tickets online and not wait for arrivals, because arrivals, you never know what you're going to get. But we had an amazing pre-sale. We had like 10 VIP tickets left online, and we had physical tickets too. So we want to entice people, because here people like Rumbles. So why not put it as the VIP Rumble, so people are like, well, let's buy the VIP tickets. So it's just that type of mindset.
Yeah, and it gets all the superstars exposure as well. By the way, Kobe Durst, somebody I'm familiar with from working here in the States, I believe, as well.
Yes, and this is our champion. This guy is a 20-year-old veteran. He's one of the reasons you had Sexy Eddie, Green Phantom. You got guys like that, but you had XS that I believe it was in 2005. They did a show with CZW, and they had an amazing match, and that gave us a chance for Canadian guys to go across the border. Talking about Player Uno, talking about Stu Grayson, Beef Wellington, all the guys that went up in Shikara. This is one of the guys that was part of the Canadian Revolution.
That's absolutely amazing. Luke Roberts, when you look at a show like that, doesn't it make you a little upset that, you know, we got our jobs and stuff like that, we can't travel more often? Because you guys heard earlier about my opportunity to visit Canada. It's something that I'll never forget. And honestly, if I had the opportunity to take my wife on a honeymoon, which we've never been able to do, I would probably take her to Vancouver. I mean, you guys, outside of the wrestling, Canada is such an absolutely incredible country. Skywalker, wow, right? Wow.
I got to tell you right now, I mean, again, this is one of those that's getting my – and again, it's really like the two of us are mirroring things, because you talk about having your first event back this go-round back on May 7th. Dynamo Pro Wrestling had Cinco de Mayo on the 7th. They're having their event this weekend. We're having our event with the Arch Rival Roller Derby. It really gets you excited to see such great wrestling all across North America, not just in a local area like St. Louis, but seeing promotions. And that's one of the things that's great about the Wrestle Talk podcast. We've had so many promotions across North America. We've had promotions from China. We've had promotions, I believe, from the UK. We've had lots of different promotions. And I got to tell you right now, G.A., this show right here, if you have the opportunity to purchase a ticket, you need to go online and you need to get a ticket, because this is going to be a great night of professional wrestling. I mean, you're going to see a lot of great things here. You're going to see a lot of different styles, and it's going to be a great night. I mean, if you get the opportunity to purchase a ticket, do it. Be in attendance. Support your local wrestling, because these wrestlers are laying it out there on the line each and every time. Now then, Night Owl, this is the part of the show where I got to admit is not one of your strong suits. And
I'm not afraid.
I was talking.
It may not be, but I'm not afraid. Just know this.
That is true. G.A., I don't know from all your discussion with FML management before you came on the program. Every week here on the Wrestle Talk podcast, we have what's called the world famous Wrestle Talk podcast game show challenge. It's an opportunity to where our guest, that being yourself, has the opportunity to compete against one of our hosts, the Night Owl, about professional wrestling trivia. Now, the Night Owl has run kind of in a string of bad luck lately. And
Hey, Skywalker, why do we got to talk about old stuff, man? Let's focus on the future, man. Let's not talk about all that.
Come on. You've run into a string of bad luck,
Okay.
but it doesn't mean you can't turn it around tonight. So my question to you, GA, is would you be willing to participate in tonight's episode of the Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge?
Absolutely.
Okay. And
All right,
wait,
like I
and
said-
only for this moment and this moment only, just as a token of good luck, okay, just like the Olympics, I'm going to go ahead and wear my colors, okay? So I'm going to wear my colors to this matchup because I feel like I really don't even have a chance. So maybe a little USA pin will be what puts me over the top. Now I'm ready. Let's go, baby.
All right.
GA
Go.
versus Renee in the Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. All I can say is sing it. Don't bring it, Chico.
All right, well, let's go ahead. Hardcore Hoss, if you would be so kind, let's go ahead and get some theme music for tonight's episode of the world-famous Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge right here on the Wrestle Talk Podcast. Go ahead and hit it. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this week's installment of the world-famous Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. Tonight's contest is scheduled for the best 2 out of 3 falls. Our contestants from the FML promotion in Quebec, G.A. and the Wrestle Talk Podcast own the Night Owl, Renee Martinez. Now, gentlemen, in a few moments, I will give you information about a professional wrestling topic. Neither of you knew this topic before we went on the air. And your opportunity is when you think you know the answer to the question, you shout out your answer. First to win 2 out of 3 falls is tonight's victor. Do you understand the rules, gentlemen?
Yes, I do.
Just because I feel like this is not going to go my way, I'm just going to let everyone know that I've been stabbed by my own pin. So I'm already going into this thing injured. Let it be known that GA already has the advantage, but it's fine. The Night Owl will play along. Let's go and let's
All
go.
right. Tonight's Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge, in honor of our guest, is famous Canadian wrestlers. I will give you 3 professional wrestlers that hail from Canada. Your opportunity is that once you think you know who it is, shout out the answer. First to win 2 out of 3 falls will be tonight's winner. Question number 1, gentlemen. This individual has competed in countless professional wrestling promotions.
Chris Jericho.
No. Including Ring of Honor, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, NXT, and the WWE.
Kevin Owens.
Bobby Roode.
Sami
Ladies
Zayn.
and gentlemen, the first answer has been given, and it is 1-0 in favor of GA. Kevin Owens was the correct answer. Very good. All right. Now, Night Owl, I'm going to give you this. Your guesses right now have been good. They have been. They've been really serious answers. You've been doing awesome.
Bro, how come the topic tonight couldn't have been about like tacos or like beer or like little short? Never mind. Yeah, I mean, I just feel like the topic is against my subject matter expertise. But yes, that was a good guess, and I'm not giving up. I shall not be swept tonight by GA. I'm saying it right now.
All right. Well, like I said, at this point, GA is up 1-0. I'm going to go ahead and throw out our second question. This individual is known for times in the WWE, WCW, sorry about that, and has made appearances in AEW. Having
Bret Hart.
held multiple
Bret Hart.
Hardcore Hoss, I got to go to the judge on this one.
I
got to go to the judge. Hardcore Hoss?
It was not the Night Owl.
Oh, man. Damn it.
All right, the correct answer was Brett.
Can I request an Iron Sheik just one more time tonight, please? I feel like I need it. I need motivation right here. Can I get out of this?
Right now,
dear goodness.
Now that the Night Owl is going to have some problems here. Now, Night Owl, are you sure that you're going to be able to handle this third and final question?
I got stabbed before this matchup even began. I was attacked before the bell even rang. So do I believe I can not be swept? I'm not very optimistic. I'm going to be honest. But who knows? Maybe maybe I won't pass out before the end of the show. How about that? I think I bleed.
Okay, that's your commentary there.
Sorry.
All right. Now, here is the third and final question. This tag team has spent time in both the WWF and WCW.
Quebecers.
One member. Can you repeat that, GA?
The Quebecers, or the Amazing French Canadians.
I'm going to have to go here, and I actually have to consult Overhaus on this one. You sure that we can let that go? Okay. I have to say that
Luke Roberts is literally consulting with his cat right now. What is this?
I have to say at this point,
stupid pin. I know what's about to happen. Go ahead. I already know.
Incorrect.
Oh.
What?
Here is
the pin stays.
Here is the question. This tag team competed in both WCW
Edge and Christian.
No. This tag team, one member of the tag team, held the WWF Intercontinental Championship. Name this brother tag team.
Oh, the Fabulous Rougeau brothers, Jacques and Raymond Rougeau.
Night Owl, you have been swept, good sir.
What?
Ladies and gentlemen, a score of 3-0. G.A. Wah getting the victory with a sweep here tonight. Now,
it's the pin. The pin was set up. He planted a GA, sent it from Canada, snuck it into my house, convinced me somehow to put it on. And this is I need a recount. And then on the Bret Hart thing, I was like this. Listen. Point being, if I had the opportunity, I would be at FML and I would tell GA to his face, and you should too, that the Night Owl was robbed here tonight. So get your tickets, damn it. The pin set me up, man. I feel like I'm leaving.
Well, as
Night Owl. We're ready.
In a moment here. Let's go ahead and hit the victory music for GA Watt here. Hardcore Austin, be so kind. We can get the Night Owl a minute here.
All I do is win, no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there. And they stay there. And they stay
there. All right. Again, another great episode. Another great episode of the world famous Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. Now, GA, first of all, I want to say thank you for coming on the program. Again, the FML promotion is really setting the tone in Canada when it comes to professional wrestling. And I got to tell you, I'm going to let you in on a little bit of a secret. We were talking earlier on about how the Wrestle Talk Podcast is going to be making its way out to the Cauliflower Alley Club in September. I'm not going to fib to you. I'm having the opportunity, hopefully, right now it's still in the very beginning stages of hopefully being able to make my way up to Canada. Right now it's tentatively set for, I believe it's late January of 23. Like I said, hopefully I'm going to make an opportunity because FML has been very gracious to the Wrestle Talk Podcast, but they've also been very, very worthwhile for the professional wrestling industry as a whole. For those who would like to know more information about FML or yourself, where can they find that information?
All right, so let's start with FML. So it's always FMLUTTE. So it's FMLUT. So we're on TikTok, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. So whenever you type FMLUT, you're going to find us. It's going to be almost this logo right here. So you can find us there. For me, you can find me on there also. Me, it's G hyphen A space ROY, like Patrick Roy, the goaler. That's how you find me on Facebook. And that's pretty much it. We're easy to find because we make it easy to find us.
Well, I can tell you right now, it's always an honor and a privilege to have FML here on the program. And I got to ask you one time here. I mean, again, I consider myself very knowledgeable in languages across the world. Actually, a little known fact is when I was in college, that was one of the things I had considered as a career before I made other decisions when it comes to my professional career outside of pro wrestling. I have to ask you, and you've been a great guest. I really hope that we can have you back on the program later on this spring. My question to you is this, just for the listeners here, because you were just the words just flow out of you so easy. Can you go ahead and say the whole name of your promotion? We said FML, and I'm not going to fib it because I would have completely butchered the name. Can you go ahead and say the whole name right here on the program, just so everybody can hear the full name of FML?
All right, so it's not Fuck My Life Wrestling, but that was the point.
Yes! See, I knew it. I knew he was going to let it loose at least once tonight. Bravo. I knew he was going to let it loose.
So are you ready for this? Because it's a mouthful. So, Fédération Montérégienne de Lutte.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Wait. So, Fédération, give us number 2 again.
Montérégienne.
Montérégienne.
Yeah. De lutte.
De lutte. Yeah, baby.
Oh,
let's go, baby. Yeah. I told you I was going to get a win tonight one way or another.
Mucho bueno, señor.
Gracias, amigo. Gracias. And my offer stands, bro. My offer stands. You see how over the top and excited I am. If you ever need any commentary over any of those lucha matches in Spanish or English, man, holla at your boy, man. You guys do amazing work up there. The last thing, just on a final note before you go, I wanted to ask you this question earlier. A couple of the fans were mad we didn't get to it. Just give me your super quick 15-second answer to this question.
Danhausen, Joker, genius. Actually, genius. Because, and by the way, guess where his wife is from? Montreal, baby.
Montreal, Canada.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
So C4 Wrestling that I've been talking about, Danhausen was a regular over there.
Wow.
And Danhausen, when he started to do his character, it was all serious. This was Donovan Danhausen. And it was being the wrestler type guy, right? And he said it himself. This is only his words. But, you know, it takes a genius to play an idiot. This guy's a genius.
More gems, baby.
And people,
wow.
People were saying that he wouldn't have any crossover appeal from indie wrestling to main to main TV. But here's the thing. People, when they see something and they'll grab onto it. Look at Orange Cassidy. It was a slow build. All in battle royal, just the shin kicks. People exploded and people were like, who the hell is this guy? I did that. I went down Beyond Wrestling. I watched all his matches and it was like, oh man, this guy is great. Danhausen is the same thing. Slow start. He was on the chair on the table with when Adam Cole took him out. People popped hard. Okay, maybe it was a fluke. Second week, third week, and now he just appears, and you see the ratings. You can see his numbers on YouTube. He is liked from kids, from people, because people want to have fun. Yes. If wrestling is just being serious, man, like you're missing all the flavors of wrestling. We need that aspect of comedy, because if you take yourself too serious, then guess what? We're stuck in the bubble of wrestling. Wrestling right now needs to pop out of the wrestling bubble and go into the mainstream. And Danhausen has that potential. That's what people need to realize. He has the potential to cross over, to be on a TNT show, a TBS show. Remember when wrestlers used to be on TV shows and it was like the big deal?
It was a normal thing. Vader
Like,
Vader was
imagine
on a couple of TV shows when I was growing
Boy
up. Step by
Meets
Step,
World. I
yeah.
remember.
Boy
I
Meets
love
World.
that show.
He was also in Major Pain, I believe, or is that Bam Bam? One of the two. Yeah, dude. Yeah.
But exactly. Like King Kong Bundy was on the Al Bundy show. It's like people need to get wrestlers into TV shows. Imagine if you have Danhausen appear on a show like The Connors. You know, like
Oh, that would be
the
sick. I'd love to see him on The
But-
Simpsons. That's where I want to see him.
And he
Dan
has that
Helton on The
appeal.
Simpsons would be great. Well,
And-
great
Well,
perspective.
I'm
man.
gonna throw this one out here at you too, though. And again, we're talking about Danhausen real quick too. I gotta say this, and the thing that really intrigues me, and it kind of goes back where you're talking, GA. Danhausen, and now we're seeing the beginnings of Hookhausen.
Woo! And
I
I
think
just
it's gonna
have
be
the
something
final
to
word.
watch.
I want to have the final word on this. This is what makes wrestling extraordinary. We're all over the world right now, from Canada to all sorts of parts of the U.S. We're Northeast for John. Luke Roberts in St. Louis. I'm in Kansas City. All the people that are watching are spread throughout the country as well. But you can have a guy like Danhausen with crossover appeal, but then you can also have a guy like Roman Reigns. And you want to talk about two polar opposites. That's what pro wrestling brings to the table. Everything you could ever desire in an entertainer, but except they can do it in front of 100,000 people at a WrestleMania with a live microphone, unlike your actors who get retakes and redos. Guys, that brings us to the conclusion of episode 395 of the Wrestle Talk podcast. Two extraordinary guests. G.A., we'll let you have the last word, man. Did you enjoy yourself? Are you happy to be a member of the Wrestle Talk family? And can we have you back soon?
Absolutely. I had an amazing time, and you can invite me. Don't worry about it. I'm very open. I do my own podcast. I'm used to this. You see the setup. You see,
It's
I'm ready
badass,
for
bro.
it.
I'm taking notes.
And just to tell you something, Night Owl, my answer about Jacques and Raymond, well, Jacques is on my mind because I was with him on Sunday.
Very good answer. We call that a callback, ladies and gentlemen.
True, that is true. Well, yeah, I got to tell you, first of all, thank you for coming on the program tonight. It's always a pleasure to have you on the program. Now that you're officially a part of the Wrestle Talk podcast family, I'm going to tell you right now, later on the spring into the summer, we've got to have you back because there's a lot of great discussions we just barely scratched the surface, not only with FML, but with yourself as well. And I got to tell you right now, I'm looking forward to part 2 with GA right here on the Wrestle Talk.
And I need a rematch, damn it. Rematch. You hear me? Rematch.
Come on.
All right, brother. Any final thoughts from you, man? You've done such an extraordinary job stepping in here tonight, helping us with the audio, the presentation. It's not perfect. It's a work in progress, but you play a big part in that, man. Any final thoughts?
Just another wonderful episode. I've just really enjoyed learning more about our two great and wonderful guests that we've had. And, like you said, there's just a lot more that could be gotten into. So, just look forward to hopefully them coming back and getting into more stuff.
Oh, I love it. Can you send us out with that guitar solo that we were hearing a little bit earlier? I think GA will appreciate this very, very much. Go ahead and hit it. You guys have a great night. We'll see you for 396 next week, every Tuesday, 8 o'clock Eastern time, right here at WrestleTalkPodcast.com. Hardcore Hoss, hit that music. Peace.
Last night a little angel came dancing to my door.